We, lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international.
Stars among stars. We, lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international.
Stars among stars. We, lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international.
Stars among stars. We, lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international.
Stars among stars. We, lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international.
Stars among stars.
Greetings.
Everyone. Yep. Good night, folks. Good night, everyone. I should have unmute my mic there. Yeah, but we're back. Good evening. We started a bit late, but we always said we tell you that we're working people, so we gotta get in when we get in.
Yes, sir,
Tonight is gonna be an interesting discussion, an interesting conversation tonight. That we have to deal with quite a few issues that are pertinent to what's popping off in Guyana. But just before we get too in-depth into the conversation, Sherwin, could we have the disclaimer, please?
Okay, the disclaimer goes: the news, information, or opinions expressed during this program are solely those of the host, guest, and callers involved in the program and do not necessarily represent the views of Majestic Music Radio, its management, or the host or advertisers. Majestic Music is not responsible and do not verify for accuracy of any of the information contained in this radio program. This program does not constitute medical or professional advice and is solely for entertainment purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
With that
All
being
right.
said,
With that, yes, with that being said, that's out of the way. Good night, folks. Again, you're in tune to the conversation every Tuesday, right here on Majestic Music
mhm.
Radio. Yeah, link up a friend, let them come in, and of course, you can hit us up. Um, if you want to join the conversation, Sherwin, could you give them the numbers to call if they want to make a comment, or outside of just dropping a comment in the comment section?
All right. The number, let me give you the number, man, because all right, the number is 718-673-2201. 718
718.
673-2201.
Mhm. Those are the number if you want to call us and contribute to tonight's panel conversation. Of
Yes,
course,
yes,
with
yes.
Lexi Sherwin, Martin Al Amin, and yours truly, Malachi. So I'm gonna allow Martin to kick off and
No, see, I
kick off.
thought you would have kicked off because you're a little more versed in the way of things. But
No, kick it off. Kick
I
it
mean,
off.
they could have seen the topic right of
Mhm.
tonight, and it is a talk of the
Politics
country.
meets power.
Yes, it is
I
a
like
talk
that
of
one.
the country right now because,
Mhm.
well, in the hands of power, as we know, a lot of things could go good, right?
Mhm.
Once wielded correctly,
Yeah.
and then a lot of things could turn into chaos, once wielded the other way.
Yeah. Actually.
Nevertheless, everybody aspire to be great and hope that one day they could actually have a certain amount of power, that
Hmm.
comes with their little lives.
Yeah.
But it don't work out for everybody, right? If y'all
Yeah.
understand how them fairy tale go, somebody must gotta go at the end. And in this
Hmm.
case, somebody is going, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, it is what it is, in the direction of what we've been seeing. And of
Hmm.
course, it's been flooding social media for the entire day.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um, but one of the things I got to say, I mean, is like I told you so, because I remember when a particular news report came out,
Hmm.
and I said to you, I said, very rarely, if ever,
Hmm.
does Reuters news service make a blunder
Hmm.
in terms of information about whether it's a regime change in a country, um, whatever it is that they're reporting on, it's always on point.
Correct, correct.
So when I saw a lot of what was going on, I knew immediately. I mean, I knew instantly. Hey, this got to be something
Bigger
that's
than what
not
it
gonna.
is.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
definitely not a good look because you know once that is out there, then you kind of have a kind of hands off treatment happening. So it is a lot. It's a lot, and it has been in the news. The vice president was on also alive early in the day, talking about the fact that the young lady, what's her name, that was also implicated in the entire thing with the family. Um, she has been put on administrative leave. I mean, this is how quick this story is unfolding and developing. She's been put on administrative leave, and hey, I mean, the vice president is saying that they're going to go after the security services are going to go after anybody who is found in breach of the laws of Guyana. as well as
Mm-hmm.
he also touted the fact that Guyana is in greater communication and greater law enforcement pacts are being done with the U.S., especially when it comes to extradition, so that people could come home
Correct.
yeah, to face whatever charges they have at home, and for those who, um, you know, are in Guyana that need to face their charges in the U.S., they will also be extradited. So it's something that I knew was inevitable, and it's just that now that the inevitable has come to pass, I think it has got some people, in a wind, in a bind. They're a little
Now,
taken back.
my little take on the start of this whole topic is,
Mm,
what is Guyana doing in the sense of the same direction that the
mm,
US took? That only when somebody from the outside can
mm,
come in and investigate, then you
mm.
will see that there's a reaction coming as though we're all fully interested. So I'm
Well.
trying to figure out
Mm,
what is going
Mm.
on in that country of itself, in
mm,
the sense of law and order,
mm,
in the sense of all the implications that is actually mentioned in the report. What is going on that you telling me,
mm,
right? That is blatant. You see it in front of your eyes. A normal blind man could come in the country and see that something is far much different about this family that's mentioned. And you can tell
mm.
me that nobody in the country has an interest, something's wrong.
Well, I'll tell
Is
you
that a pun?
what.
Because we did have a blind man in the country who was
No, no,
somewhat
no, 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 no.
associated with them.
It came over from 19 and it reached to 24. And the implication is from
Mm.
19 to 23, right? Now, you telling me
Mm.
from 20 to 3, we still playing blind? Something's definitely wrong. And the people, it's been happening further before, when
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
try
Of
to say
course.
the blind man, it's what's happening. You telling me it's always blind? Nah, something wrong. Something wrong.
Well, well. You see, the good things about investigations, right, and uncovering and stuff like that is when you open one can of worms, right,
Mm.
it tends to, you know, open up a lot more cans of worms. So I'm quite
Yes.
glad that
Yes.
whatever
Yes. Yes.
investigation it has started, and also the U.S. is conducting their independent investigation outside of the whole Guyanese system.
Why
Which
is Guyana, let me ask you a question. Why
Mhm.
is Guyana suddenly interested in investigations now when there was no interest before the
No,
statement?
well, no, hold
This
on.
is a
What?
reaction. And like
No,
I said,
I don't think so, because I'll tell
no,
you
no, no,
why I
no, no,
don't
no,
think so.
no. The reason why I'm telling you that, right?
Hmm.
The reason why I'm saying that, I mean, we're not, we just, I'm just trying to be kind of realistic here, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Now,
Mm.
in the sense of, we are looking at what's going on in the country. Everything is going. Remember, these projects is happening, is coming from the officials. Who's the officials? Who's running and who's the head of these officials? It comes down the line. And this is not normal projects, bro. This is big projects. And I'm gonna give you an example. One of the reasons, one of the headlines that pop
Mm.
up when I knew something was coming down the pipe was when Exxon Mobil was warned not to go and connect with those guys. And I knew something was on the pipe coming down the line. But of course, everything else is all good and cool, which is the local stuff that is controlled by the officials themselves. So you trying to tell me, oh, suddenly I'm interested. So give me some more information on the details so that I can actually take care and get look into the matter. Get out of here. No, no, no. This conversation is too. It don't work like that.
Well, based on what
So,
is coming out, right, we know for a fact that a
uh,
lot of information was given in the last 2 years, because the young lady is not like some people claiming that this young lady is from the PPP. She's not from the PPP.
mm,
All right, that lady was somewhat one of those people who remained there from the previous
But
government.
that's a lame excuse.
Hold on.
Lame. We
That's not that.
already had a
I'm not. I'm not.
conversation.
I'm not making any excuses. I'm
Okay.
just outlining
But that's
to
the name of
get
them lame
to.
excuse.
No, I'm not. That's not an excuse. What I'm saying is that people have been saying that she is part of the government, and in truth and in fact, she's just a public servant doing her job, right? However, she got tied up in her corruption. Now, a lot
mm.
of the information that the American government got was also provided by the Guyana Police Force.
Boy, Malachi, Malachi. We as Guyanese, or the people in Guyana as Guyanese, have been going through this roller coaster year after year, taking
Correct.
all the nonsense as though it is factual. It's like, this is a thing where I can't take. As you get older, you learn and you
Mm-hmm.
understand that not because your father come and say, hey, you got to jump through that hole. You
Hmm.
know, as you get older, jumping through that hole ain't make no sense. I could go wrong and do the same thing or do it even faster and better than what he's saying. So you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to tell me that every year, year after year, I'm not talking about the present government. I'm talking about politics in the whole since it's been coming through the pipe in Guyana.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
They've been building and working on the ignorance of the people in the country. And also, they've been continuously working on everything, what we would say, this kind of a notion of, or like, let me just put it one way, in a normal way. They've been running on a particular type of politics, and that's what they've been running on. People are not coming away from that because they continue to stick to the ignorance. We have
Mm.
great politicians, but they go back to the same game that works. That's what they do, even though they could do better in politics in the sense of
Well,
doing better
politics
for
in
the
the
country.
whole is a dirty game. And I've always heard this from the beginning of my time. Politics in the whole is a dirty game. So I don't
Yeah, that's
think I'm seeing
pretty
anything
excusing.
different,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't think I'm seeing anything different than what I've seen in America, in Africa, in Europe,
Of course,
in Guyana.
of course.
Now, the issue is with this specific situation. Now, I kind of get where you're coming from, Sharon, whereby it is, as you're asking, why no, right? So, from the American standpoint, since I've been here, and from my understanding of the law enforcement, especially the feds, they don't come down on you unless they literally have something to sweep you up with. Clearly, we could see it with Trump, the rappers, and everybody else in between, right? Once you
Yeah.
fight in a federal case. Now, the regular
Yeah.
state case, is local officers. Them ain't really do much diligence in getting anything done and these are the things. So we ain't gonna worry about them, right? But once it comes to the feds, we know everybody involved, right? Whether it be the FBI, the CIA, and everybody else in between as counterparts.
Homeland Security.
Now, we know for sure that people have been putting things together, right? Because
Nah.
we had this big report where Malachi mentioned the Reuters came in and
And that
they
Reuters
let
came
out
out.
this
That
big information.
Yeah, the Reuters report, Sherwin, came out roughly just about 6 to 7 months back. Martin and I read that Reuters report on the radio, and it was way back,
Mhm.
Right.
right? So
So
that's what I'm saying. That kind of information,
for
they
a
had to have
journalist
got.
to grab that, correct, they got the information down the pipeline from somebody in the feds themselves,
Yeah, yeah, and
right?
that had to be information that they had already garnered over a period of time. which have been probably
Correct.
over 2 years. Then they
Now,
decided to give the press some of that information.
now, from the point of view of being in Guyana, right? From my time growing up, I would have heard stories about these individuals since I was yay high going to primary school, secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
and me and grow much farther since, right? And the information still remain the same, but over time with social media, the information start to kind of make sense. Whereby if you hear, hey, these man is do mining, these man is do logging, these man is do business of certain kind, right? And then we start seeing a certain lifestyle whereby we as individuals know it's a little bit hard to combine this lifestyle. It's going to kind of start making sense, right? Especially if you're looking in from the outside. And if much less if you're the inside the circle, well, you know we all living nice. And that is what happened with associates, right? As we could say, whereby people got in circles, things went left, and then we all saw what happened on social media, right? People want back the things, people owe people money, people going against each other who's supposed to be friends, and these are the things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all is fear and love and war at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's right, man. You
Yeah.
can't really blame a man for saying, well, hey, now I know if I spend all my life working hard and fighting for provide for my family, and then I suddenly get an enemy, is either me or you. You understand me? Why do we gotta give?
Mm-hmm.
And with me mindset, me ain't giving nothing. And if both we going with the same mindset, then you gotta think within yourself, what do I have to lose?
Mm.
And if you can't stop and think, what do you have to lose? Then whatever come to you, come to you. Is
Mm-hmm.
it, man? For instance, Malachi and myself would have gained in an enemy recently in business, right? And this is somebody I consider a friend. You understand, man?
Mm-hmm.
I've done business with personal and close friends that I had from since high school, and it went totally left over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Whereby we lost the friendship, we lost the business, and everything else in between. But this is people I thought I could have trusted to manage things and get things going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you hear something come up on the internet about me, I tell you, by any means, believe it. But of course, call me first to clarify. It's like
Well,
if you don't have the power to call me to clarify, then run with whatever story you believe.
no, well, my thing is run with where you believe with where you believe. You go ahead, say what you gotta say, and then the consequences come after. Simple thing. So you can run and say what you want to say. I'm glad for that too. You can run and say what you want.
You know, this is the normal world. Everybody get a
Yeah, they can run it. They can run. It's a good thing.
like
It's
when
a
I
good
just
thing.
come to this country here and I run away because I rob a man. Then I run away. What? I do something and this and I can't come back and this. When I see me back, oh, he was pay half he did. I was like,
You
no.
you run
They
away
can't.
and you had a debt.
This is how the things run. Everything. When I buy my first car, oh, hey, the man take your money and buy a car. Car. I used to manage a sound system, right? So man say, buy the man take all your money and buy car, the man get enough play out. Next thing you know, the man had to tell them, no, the man got booked a leisure showing me all me money and I get me money straight. So it's like, you sit down and people just go come up with something because they wanna be in the spotlight to have a conversation. But you know, it's
Yeah.
all the whole thing in the trend of the day is create some kind of spot so everybody could run on it. You know what I mean?
I think what really was
Exactly.
I'll tell you what I believe was the shocker that kind of had Guyana kind of like in a gear, right? Because if you notice, when um, my boy was talking about this particular family on his morning program, right? It was him against a particular team,
Mhm.
all right? And it was about who did what, because for several days he would play a piece of video and say, well, if this person could come out and answer why they were asking about credit card and all of that, then we know, we clarify that, well, it wasn't a run-in. So you know,
Yeah.
and clarify why you was asking the person about a fake, we got fake it and all of that. Now it's team against team.
Mhm.
Now, now that uh, evidence has come to light that has really was not provided by either team, was provided from outside of either team. But of course, the morning show guy had alluded to the fact that this was going to happen because he had an idea that something was wrong and it was going to happen. All right. So when it did come down, it wasn't surprising. It wasn't surprising, at least not to me, because I was the first person about 6 to 7 months ago. I saw the Reuters report and I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, Reuters talking about this guy. Well, I know usually in many cases what happens is that, you know, they may not like that black or brown person for whatever reason it is, you know. It could have been religious as well, but I just kind of let my mind run on it and I said, well, you know, let's see where the evidence goes. But that was what, 6 or 7 months ago. And now what has been, what is now in the news today is you know, it just says, okay, this is what we know, this is what is going to happen, and on, I think it is Thursday, they're going to have more divulsion of information.
That's coming from who?
That's coming from the U.S. State Department.
Okay. But the thing is with me, Malachi, right?
Hmm.
Guyana has been known,
Hmm.
and not today,
Uh-huh.
it's been known for a while, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a specific year and all of that, but Guyana has been known as a place of corruption.
Hmm.
It's being stated in Guyana, they will say, we are not corrupted. There's nothing like that going on. And there's going to be all pointers and all conversations in a technical way to divert you from the thought of anything that is being said outside that is really happening. Now,
Hmm.
this is something that has been ongoing for so long. Like Martin says, since he was a little boy, been
Hmm.
ongoing for so long. And it's been something that so many might and would have been indulged in because
So
it goes through a
yeah.
cycle. Anybody from the from down to Morrison Creek to,
Hmm.
to a place called Morrow. I don't even know if anybody know about them places. To all
Hmm.
these different places, knows this individual and the family
Hmm.
because of so much that is in the story of social media and conversation, right?
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
can tell me that officials is not aware or want to ask questions.
Yeah, but Sherwin, although you may be an official and you want to ask questions, do you feel that you feel you can just barge into somebody's maybe and just say, well, you need to answer certain questions?
No, no, no. It goes through checks and balances. It don't take, listen, it don't take in a small country like that, in the in
Hmm.
the in the system that we got that is very broken, it won't take a lot to make sure somebody's in track or off track, on track or off track.
You,
Because
you're
first,
talking about to find out what,
so
let's say,
all to find out all that you're generating, and
Mhm.
also all that you may be exporting, and also all that you're doing in the country within the country itself. There ain't nothing hard for nobody to do down there. It's easy, it's simple.
My issue with it is this. Um, GRA, the Guyana Revenue Authority, based on their regime, should have been able to, over time, say, listen, something is wrong. We're not able to account for a certain amount. Stuff is being undeclared. I know they mentioned that something about small and medium scale
I'm gonna
gold
give
mine.
you I'm gonna
Oh,
give you an example though.
no, one second.
When you finish.
Yeah, they were saying that they were avoiding taxes, but one of the things that in my estimation is kind of funny. I mean, I think GRA has the resources to research to figure out where certain things are happening, but I think they, because of the corruption is so systemic and endemic, that it's very difficult, because once somebody is caught, the person who's catching them going to take pay to look the other way. So basically, because of that systemic and endemic corruption, this is why, one, to fix certain systems in Guyana takes this long, and two, this is why sometimes you have to have foreign intervention in terms of making certain statements regarding maybe business people and stuff like that in Guyana, because a lot of their information, a lot of the time, is 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 tricky. Because, for example, I know for a fact, being an ex-custom officer, that people will bring in products into Guyana under all kinds of false declarations. All right, so those are just a few, and I don't really want to go too in depth into customs and all of that. But what I'm saying is that they should have been able to track everybody, especially people with with lots of money and doing certain types of business. They should have been able to track their what they're doing through the GRA, which is the Guyana Revenue Authority, and they should have known, based on the taxes, well, how much money they should have.
Listen, right? The same GRA
Mhm.
brought up a matter the other day with the company from Trinidad concerning supplies to ExxonMobil.
Mhm.
ExxonMobil, right?
Mhm.
How can you, in such a short period of time, you can find the loophole on that, but you cannot find a loophole on someone that's been doing it for donkey years? But now that is being a bombshell drop, then everybody wants to be like, oh, we didn't know. We want to know more because we want to make sure we understand where we can start investigating. Come on, bro.
But if you remember the other day, the I think it was 2 or 3 days ago,
Any
they
real
busted they busted somebody at the airport taking out gold covered in silver
yes,
jewelry,
that's
right?
that's babies. You got somebody that's doing shipments. You got somebody that's doing trade big time
Well, that's what
and
I'm saying.
taking out
Corruption,
your minerals. You know, as your
corruption.
minerals in a country,
Hmm.
especially things like gold, oil. Boy, I could imagine what all might do to the country, boss. You know what I mean? I'm just getting the imagination of how that country is so pressured into being where it is and how it is due to people that don't care. Because if you come in, if people vote for people, and that's why I tell you the politicians have run on the ignorance of the people for so long that people don't even have the chance to sit down and say to themselves, you know what? Somebody's sounding with some way that they have some kind of heart for this country with better policies. Let me tell you something. When a third party come, when a man sit down and try to put out his little party to just to talk about it, everybody blank him because you know why? We accustomed to this and we accustomed to this. And they just go with that. They don't go with, and then it goes with sometimes with faces instead of, you know what I mean? Like you normally say faces, you know what I mean? You know, it go with faces instead of going with, let me listen to what really is coming on the pipe. Or let me try to remember what happened during this period of time. If it makes sense to go again with this group, with this party or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks like that. All they think about is what and how they come and fire with all these. They know exactly what to tell the people, especially in whichever area, to say, "Let me go again because this is what's gonna happen if you go the other way."
But Sherwin, one of the things you gotta understand is that if Guyana had a highly educated population, it wouldn't be in this situation it is in. The reason it is in this situation is because of something called the brain drain, where the highly educated people have left, and there are very few left. And if certain changes are not accommodating for people who have different forms of skill sets and stuff, we're going to have another level of brain drain. So Guyana will be kept back regardless.
Guyana is 60% illiterate as it speaks, according to the studies.
It's called functional illiteracy.
All
In
right,
other
cool.
words, they're functioning in society, but if you get down to it, could you read, write, comprehend, and stuff? No.
Now we know from history, right? From all the way in history, we
Mhm.
know that whenever people with a good brain and has some way, somehow have some kind of a or is in a way of seeing a brighter picture for a country or for the country, they're intimidated or
The politicians are intimidated because
the
they want
politician,
to,
the politicians, sorry, the politicians are intimidated and
yeah,
they do whatever it costs to make that person either run or you don't hear about that person no more
yeah.
or whatever it is
Mhm.
because they want to continue to keep that ignorance in place so that the people would run on that all the time. And
Well, well,
that's what we have in
well,
today. And when we go back to the real deal of the topic of today,
uh-huh.
right? I think I think it should be kept out of the hands of them who should have been there already. I mean, I understand the country has to be a country, it's an independent country, but if it's a separate investigation that's coming down from the US into
Yeah, yeah.
somebody.
Based on what we're hearing, it's too different because the vice president did allude to the fact that the Ghana Police Force has already got a 2 year span investigation going on, an ongoing investigation.
How you could get a
And
2 year span, 2 year span, and you think me running for from since 19, buddy?
no, well, this is when they decided maybe to start an investigation. I'm not sure, but that's what was said.
Uh,
All
yo,
right.
we sit there, we listen to this guys, and these guys that tell us what we want to hear, so it sounds good. And I just believe that you know, if ever Guyana could get to the place to respect citizens and find ways to be, you know, to come off of this nonsense and try to be more transparent in the sense of
Mhm.
policy. Like, look at us. We fighting for IP law because we know how beneficial it is
Mhm.
in all departments. And it's like it seems as though the interest is there and there's none. And we know that that's what is going to help the entire land,
Mhm.
right? Come on, man. You running over something that you are aware of and you know you but you're just running on the ignorance of people. Look at it. We ain't even reached
I,
1% that is trying to
I believe though, Sherwin, right, that the government presently has a lot of individuals who really don't, what they have are personal issues with people. So what they're doing They are, because they may be close to a minister or somebody in the government, what they're doing is sitting there getting into the ear of the ministers and stuff and saying, oh, don't deal with this one because of some issue which they may fabricate or they may twist it to make themselves look good. All right, because trust me, this is what happens in Guyana. This is how, like, one person describes it, and I totally agree. The low life and hungry belly type behavior, because that is what it is. It's factual. It hurts people who know who they are, because I mean, no matter how much the person says, "Oh, about low life and hungry belly," it has never one day affected me because I don't have a certain level of mentality. I don't have a certain level of thinking. But for those people who behave and think in a certain manner, obviously it gets to them. It will hurt them. All right. And we have individuals who, for example, let's like you mentioned, Sherwin, the issue of IP. Now, why in particular have we never heard the opposition party mention IP and even make it a valid issue, seeing that a lot of the artists in the industry of dancehall and soca are Afro-Guyanese?
You see, there's the same thing we come back to. We come back to a nation that has a certain, what we call it, a certain line of politicians that is keeping everybody quiet because that's all they know. Yo, when we go in there, this is what we're going to deal with because this is how we know it. So it was ignored by all the people in the past. We don't know much about that. So until we get there, then we can think about that. Because if you notice, every time the opposition leaders speak, when we get in power, then we can deal with XYZ. Bro,
Yeah.
what stupidness you telling me, man?
All right. No, I'm glad you said that too, because you know what it brings me to? And I'm glad that somebody in the comments also mentioned it, Keen. With this word Negro, right? Remember we were dealing with it on the program, Martin, on our morning program. Now, I don't know what it is that all of a sudden, in 2014, the black people of Guyana have finally woke up from wherever they were and realized that the use of the word Negro was a derogatory one. Because we all know there were statements in the newspaper that says man of Negro descent. All of that was was in the newspaper. When criminals were apprehended, they said Negro. That was going on for years under every single administration. However, in 2024, there's a huge difference now. Not that I agree that I should be called a Negro, because anybody called me a Negro, they better be really far away from me. You understand?
See,
But at the same time, let us not operate as though we just run out from under a rock and realize, oh my goodness, they call us Negro?
yeah, but
Really?
that's not even a statement that should be made in Guyana, in the sense of Indo, Afro,
None of that should be mentioned, bro.
none of that should be mentioned in Guyana.
Well,
Those are words that should be exempted from the
outlaw.
exactly, because you want to make sure that all the way in this country is black and brown. So you got to put yourself in a category, because I can't remember if you come, you call yourself Asian. If you over here when you gotta do the application, I never see Indo. I never see Indo American. I never see American Indian is the people from.
Those are the Red Indians. Those
The
are
Red
the
Indians.
Sioux, the Cheyenne, the Mohawk.
But that's what I'm trying to say. these are words that should not be mentioned because they don't make no sense when you come out here.
No, you see, when in a place like Guyana, where we have, I don't use the word race, I use the word face. So we got 6 faces, right? One of the things I said on my radio program, and I know a couple of people message me and they're like, man, Malachi, why would you say something like that? I said, one of the things we need to do to break this mental chain culture that we have, that we are all separate, is to get rid of all these nonsensical holidays that basically slow and waste time and decrease productivity. All right. Because as it is right now, Guyana got 16, about average 16 holidays a year. You know how many England got?
That's not ignorance.
You know how many England got? England got 10.
Bro, which country that wants
Exactly.
to be in developing stage wants so much holidays?
This is what I'm saying.
I
So
Guyana
don't
what
think
you
the
do?
holidays is a problem either, you know.
No,
Guyana
listen,
don't even
no.
Guyana
Let
don't
me
even
tell
have
you.
Guyana don't even have the idea yet of a functioning Sunday. Do you know certain business in America, Sunday is the brightest?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
That is actually
Because
start of the week for everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly me.
exactly. That may never reach to the level of understanding because you just running on this normal thing that these leaders supposed to be finding ways of how can I put people in a position to believe that in order for us to reach from stage 1 to 2, this is how we can move. But
Mm.
all you're thinking about is, bro, you see the street, we do it. You see that? We do that for you. You see that? Bro, whatever they just want to know, okay, it's like a country where it's like you come to nursery school and you tell them, okay, I bring snacks for everybody today. Everybody say yay because they're
Mhm.
happy that they don't have to eat what's in a lunch kit, but they can eat what Miss given to them. So that is something like, what? Miss giving me something that's something of they're happy about that. Now it's the same thing with Guyana. All right, today, you know what? Instead of me doing something that is going to benefit you on a long run, in a sense of what is continuous generating, no, you can just give it, okay, I'm going to give everybody this today. But check it, on the same weekend, there's a big brawl going on. The whole weekend, all the money gone. You
So
understand?
this is the thing for me, right? Because I would have lived both places, as you mentioned, Sherwin, we don't understand in Guyana what is a functioning Sunday. I don't think we understand what is a functioning any day, not just Sunday alone, right? Because I like to know that when I go home on a weekend, I get to enjoy myself, I get to relax. And you know, in America, we can't get to go home on no weekends, right? Because Friday, for most people, or Saturday is the payday, and then you start back on Sunday or Monday, depends on what industry you're working in.
Weekend
Now,
is important, man.
exactly. People get the interviews done on Saturdays and Sundays. In a lot of places, a lot of business, you go in and get for the beginning of your job, they're interviewing you on a Sunday. The pay week starts from a Sunday. But in Guyana, because we have a lot of public workers, that is one, on public jobs, we have that rift whereby, and I've said this, I believe, many a times, the politicians don't know the role of what they're supposed to be doing. You as a politician needs to sit with the people, which the government does a lot of, right?
No.
Well, true. No. You can't say no. I can tell you why after, right? You can't say no. Now, they do sit with people. In my opinion, in my experience, the government have been sitting with people forever, right? So that is a plus. The problem with sitting with people is when they gather the information. If they gather the information, they don't put it into practice. Because if Jack says we need a road, In today's time, it's easy to build a road, but back then, we can just listen to you and focus just on the water because it's easier to provide water than do road for you.
But
Besides, at
let's
least you
just
get one or the other.
but let's take it from that very perspective you were mentioning earlier.
Mhm.
All right. Now you said that they do a lot more meeting and talking and stuff, right?
Correct.
The problem with that is that you can meet and talk with people. That's fine.
Mm.
But we're talking about actual implementation of the ideas, the suggestions. For example, we have been on a drive about intellectual property for years.
Yes.
Personally, tried to reach out to the Minister of Culture, Youth, and Sport to have a conversation started up on the whole issue of IP and how it affects the youth, the creatives, and what needs to be done. And we haven't been able to get a meeting. I met the president in New York, spoke to him about the issue, asked him the question.
Mm.
He said, okay, when you get back to Guyana, we will organize a meeting.
Yes.
That has not occurred yet.
Well, meeting with the people and meeting with one person who can push a steam is very different, Malachi. A group
Yeah,
of
but
people can ask for a bunch of things that, like I said, they could then pick out specifically. I could provide this over that. Excitement. Meeting with one man who got one agenda and one focus is very hard because now you have to come up with answers for this one problem. Excitement.
whether they meet with a grouping or they meet with one person, the issue still remains the same. All right, and that is IP. When is the issue of intellectual property going to be looked at? Because the time as it keeps going and
Mhm.
going, and people are saying, oh, well, we need it. No, we don't need it for any other thing. We need it so that we can grow as a country. All right. We need to start outlawing this nonsense about copying and replicating people's work and believe that that's okay.
Correct.
It is not okay. All right.
You
And
know,
until we get our frame of mind into that, and our politicians have to understand, and one of the things we have to do to ensure that the politicians understand is that the creatives, like I said, need to come together and they need to say to each political party, 5,000 voters is what's make a seat. So here what we gonna do as the creative grouping.
Get a
We are
5,000
going to,
plus.
if we don't see one of you bring the issue of IP in your manifesto for the next election, well, you missing 5,000+ votes. You missing a seat in parliament. That's how this thing gotta go. So the only way to
yeah.
affect these politicians is through the vote.
Well,
If we
Malachi,
think,
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry. No, dude, speak.
No, if we think that at some point that they're going to be caring enough to look at the issue and deal with certain issues, no, you've got to literally press and add pressure for certain things to happen.
Mhm.
It's simple as that. Because as we've clearly seen, how many years have I been talking about IP and other individuals have spoken about IP? It's been now over 20 years. Where is the actual move just to have discussions start with the government regarding IP? Where's that? And President Ali has outlined on several occasions that his government has an open door policy. However, we have not been able to link with Charles Ramson till now. Not that I want to or care to anymore. It's not something that I want to do at this stage in time because it would just be a waste of my time. But these are issues that have to be dealt with, and they are broader issues, and it will keep the more this whole issue is kept back on the back burner. We're gonna have issues with young people not getting involved with jobs because not everybody built for construction. I ain't built for construction. That's one of the things. Me's not a construction man. When you feel my hand, it's soft. Me built for construction. That's not for me. I have a brain, and God gave me a brain to use it.
Correct.
Now I need to have administrators of the government in the government that I live in a country implement things that help me to one stay in that country and benefit from my work because I'm not asking anybody to give me nothing.
Mm.
I am simply saying let us look at the IP issue because there's several individuals who are creative people who want to be able to live off of what they can create. What is so difficult for a people's government to understand that?
Well, bro, I don't listen. The problem is I believe that, like I was saying earlier, that blatantly who has the power is not interested, and the people of Guyana does not have that kind of zeal and that kind of a push to make a government move in Guyana. I'll give you the example. Most times we see policies coming out that we have nobody have no clue of, but
Mhm.
it just
Mhm.
pop up and it happen. Most times you find they come in and they're talking about this and that and this agreement or whatever, and nothing was presented to say, okay, we can put
The
this in
people.
to the
Yeah,
people, so
it
the
was
people.
like the utter disrespect when suddenly the ministry decided to pop up with some guy who is coming up with a database for artists in Guyana.
That's what I'm saying. There is nothing that is the people has they don't have no respect for the people because there is nothing properly set up, and the people has no way of pushing the government of Guyana for all these years. They always
No,
taking bully.
no, they do have a way of pushing. If they're educated and wise enough, they know the only way to knock the politician is in the vote. So if I don't
Understood.
get what I want, I don't vote for you. And you have to do that. You can't do that as a one person because a one
You
voting can make a
gotta get a
difference.
body.
Exactly. So all the creatives have got to come together, understanding the issue of IP and how it affects the entire country. All right. Once we get them to that stage, which I think a lot of people are trying to stymie and stop the creatives in Guyana from fully understanding that issue and their rights that
Mm.
they're supposed to be having. Because if they're fully educated, there is no way they're not going to come together right away and say, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. If you guys don't give us the IP, we don't vote for you.
But you see, there's a
So,
problem.
would it be fair to say that the government themselves, both parties, have been committing treason acts against the people of Guyana?
Well, when it comes to IP, yeah, they should have looked at that issue years ago.
No,
And they,
because yeah, because they actually they want to make sure they protect who is not going to benefit from the who's going to make more and it's going to affect them. They're protecting those people, which we
they,
know
they,
is a lot of
they,
business people and big companies.
no, they also are protecting themselves because, like I know, and I've said this to numerous politicians in the ruling government. I said, you can't have a regime where the national network is a pirate network. It just does not look good. Nowhere in the world that happens. It just don't happen. So you can't. There is no justification for that level of stuff because if you can't, if you're claiming, well, so what do we do if we're not pirating? Make your own. Depend on your own people to provide the sitcoms, to provide the advertising. At one point in time, Guyana had a budding advertising sector, right? Where you had companies like John Finance advertising, had Video Mega, and all this, including they had also independent mavericks in the business like myself. I can mention a couple of other guys who were involved. And you notice what happened after a while? All of that
Everybody
got
went.
killed off. All of that got killed
Mm-hmm.
off. You know why? You know why? Because, and I could say plainly, a lot of the times my work was plagiarized by networks, including NCN.
Mm.
They will cut information from stuff that I have done and I have put out, and they will put it in their stuff. So if we don't look at those issues of piracy, because piracy is a big, big issue globally. I mean, Guyana could either get with the program or get forced to get with the program. Because at sooner or later, we are
Yes, I
going
agree.
to get with the program. There is no way we can be an oil developing nation and not have IP. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And for me to be somebody who started off on radio in Guyana talking about IP, and you know, because some people didn't like what I was saying on radio regarding IP and what I was talking about, what should be done to develop Guyanese music and the artists. So then I was taken off radio. That's okay. It doesn't matter to me because at this point in time, I have multiple that I can say the exact same thing that nobody can stop. So it's just ridiculous. And then you have the artists on the other hand who are constantly complaining. But then when you explain to them, listen, this is what you need to do in order to get yourself together as a voice, as a body. All right. Everybody's looking at everybody like, I don't trust this person. I don't want this person leading me. Nobody ain't got to lead. We all have to have one voice that says we want the IP law structure in place. Simple. So it don't have to be led by me. It don't have to be led by Birch. It don't have to be led by Ian Johnson. It don't have to be led by nobody. It's just a body of people who are saying we want one common goal. And that common goal must be we want IP laws in Guyana. No. Simple.
You see, the thing is, we got a bunch of people that creates a store and get everybody stored up and everybody's attention. Look at the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
One individual from Jamaica that come out and just start blaring whatever. The one individual, and
Aye.
almost I don't know how much people in Guyana take the time out to make videos and do
Yeah.
skits and do
All kind of
all
memes,
these
skits, and all
nonsense
kinds of to deal with
Hundreds,
with with with,
hundreds of
with,
them.
with
to
some
deal with one.
with,
That
with,
was,
with with somebody called Mackerel.
yeah. But I'm saying, you sit down, you take the time out for something like that. That is really not serious. Anybody can tell me, yeah, yo, use iguana. I don't care. You don't understand. You don't understand how or why I like guana. You don't know why somebody else eats snake. You don't know why somebody else eat whatever they choose to have as a meal, as their delicacy. Bro, I supposed to turn and say, wow, I don't feel like I could eat that,
You
but
you you know what you know what's utterly surprising to me, Sherwin?
it's crazy
The
to
fact
see
the fact that
all
the
these
fact
people.
that she actually got a response
She got
because
not
I
one response, but she took the whole country attention,
no,
boss.
but listen, when this thing happened, you remember it first happened with Major Hype.
That's
And
another crazy, yeah.
at
Yeah.
that point, I thought that okay, Guyanese had matured at this point because we realized if somebody is going to make a stupid statement and an uneducated one, maybe you shouldn't respond. But then this character now comes up, and obviously you know the type of character it is by the name Mackerel. So why would you even be responding to somebody who will make such statements and you know obviously the person ain't highly educated, so why you even paying attention? Why Guyanese people will take the time to go at these people with stuff
Make them
that
loyalistic.
clearly They are not educated. It really makes us look educated, innit?
Yeah,
That
but
is the
look at this.
lawlessness we live for, brother.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
look
that's
at
what I'm
this.
saying.
Do you
It's
know,
rough.
right? I sit down and look at the positives and the negatives in the sense of Major Hype situation, right?
Mhm.
Major Hype was somebody that was so already so out there in the sense of his kids.
Yeah.
That so
Mm.
many people was learning the different slangs and the different things about a Guyanese, how they
Yeah.
react and what they do. Now the guy don't do
Mannerism.
nothing pertaining to Guyana. He don't do
No, I
nothing.
no.
All his
He
kids is cut in the sense of Guyanese type of background. No, bro, come on, man. The man's a comedian. You can, and he come out and he make a statement. Find a way to make it like, bro, what stupid is you telling me? No, this is that so, this is so. Done with
no.
it, done with that.
Sherwin, I agree with you totally, and I just want to say this: they would expend so much energy to deal with something of frivolity that makes no sense, that has no meaning to them, can't benefit them, can't put food in their pocket, nothing. But the things that actually would mean a lifetime for them and their children and their generation, no
They,
focus there.
they, they quiet.
They're quiet there.
Yo, yo. Anyway, I don't know, man. Guys, this is really the conversation today. It is politics meets power. And I don't want
One
we
of a
divert
kind.
too much from this topic because I mean, listen, I just give my point because I put upon a one way where I was actually feeling like, yo,
No,
why
well,
is it
I think sure we're still hitting the nail on the head with politics with power because we would have mentioned things of necessity, especially in our field of work, right?
yeah.
Now,
And
even if you want to dial back to the actual focus of the day or the century, as someone would want to call it is one and the same because even of hours ago, last night, right? Not even 24 hours, said individual make nice donations to the people in the entertainment community, right? Whereby one group of people was able to gather a very nice production equipment, right? A nice camera.
Yeah.
We know back in the days, other people got set up for studios, right? Other people got funding as sponsorships and
Yeah.
these are the things, right? Now it's still on the the hammer hitting the nail because we are seeing and people are asking, well, where the money come from? Why the government haven't been paying attention, right? That is the two main question as far as I've been seeing. And then of course we have both sides whereby these people have I don't want to say scammed, but they pull a very nice cloak over the population's eyes in the disguise of philanthropy, right?
Yeah.
Without Guyanese even understanding actual philanthropy. But these guys have managed to redo in a very nice manner, a very luxurious manner of what Sharma was trying to do back in the days, right? But Sharma used to go out, provide food and this and that for the people, and then they had a side whereby we gather the information, whether it be in interviews and everything, and we hear the people, but then parties separated because, as it was said, I don't want to be the spokesperson for what you got going on, and you couldn't hold me mouth down, so we had to part ways. And when ways was part, things happened.
but you remember during that period of time, Sharma gained some popularity and
Correct.
he was kind of an intimidation to the government and he got He got pinned because
Well, as we know the
because,
functions in
Do what he
Guyana.
did.
because of course you getting fancy. Everybody started to like you. You might be a threat. All right, bro. Listen, I find something and put you down, settle you down, cause you getting out and I just waiting for one little nick and catch you.
You just messed up a
So,
weekend. But it is said that that's how things operate in Guyana, right?
Yeah,
If you don't follow suit,
it's
then
very
you get
petty. It's very petty.
yeah, you get
Very,
for a shop.
very petty. Yeah, it's very petty. Not only that, I mean, let me tell you things I personally know about. All right. Individuals in Guyana are angry with other people because they're smarter than they are.
Yeah,
That's just
I had
that's a
experience with that.
simple thing. I know, I have experience with that personally. As a matter of fact, I was working at NCN when I knew that the CEO of NCN didn't have more sense than me. You understand? The CEO was literally dumb, didn't know nothing about the job. And when you try to explain to those individuals who believe maybe because they may have a political link more than you, how the job really is supposed to function, they then want to get rid of you because you might be a threat to them and their position. But then when they get rid of you, they still realize, well, there's not much that you know anyway about it. So there's not much that the entity could possibly learn from you
Mm.
and grow. Because again, like I said, they didn't know anything about communications and how that works.
Hmm.
So we in Guyana there are several of those, like square peg in wrong hole kind of thing. I don't condone none of that. I'm the type of person like this. If somebody has shown or led by example in their work or their work is exemplary, you got to give them the position. All right.
Hmm.
It can't be, oh, well, my friend ain't really like you. So
you
you
know
get,
what?
but you can't work because my friend ain't like you or somebody said something about you that, they don't like you. And this is what we have going on again, where it's kind of like a nepotism thing going on, or a gang thing, you should say. Let me break it. It's simple. It's a gang. So if you're not part of the gang, oh well, you can't play over there. All right. And this is what will totally, and regardless of what the president government believes, if they don't understand that IP is the way to solve a lot of these issues, because once those very artists can make music, the music is what will bring this society together. But the more they wait and the more they believe that, throwing up a show with some insignificant group of individuals who ain't really no artists, right? That works. What could we say? All we could do is say what we saying now and watch for the consequences, the inevitability. Because I said enough things before and all came to pass. Every single one. All
You
right?
know, other than the artistry and the creatives, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that the government is doing in the sense of uh helping people to start up their as young entrepreneurs, and also there's a lot of things that being introduced. People are trying to create in the sense of products, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're doing that, which is good, but that's just on the low side. A man cannot secure his product fully
There is
when he
nobody here
comes
that
out.
eats. We don't eat concrete.
But he
We
could
eat
come out.
food.
This man could come out the first day as soon as he put out, he thinks so. Next year, another man pick it up, make it take a little more fancy, and flood out the whole market. And next thing you know, he just see by this thing come out with the same name, but he can't say nothing. But then in America, you better get a name that is different or sound different from the name that is actually running.
Of course. Of course. You
Because
see, they got look, for
just the
example.
song sometimes is
Yeah, the song is a problem, bro.
Yeah.
Because look for example, Uber. Is there a company that is doing the exact same service that the name sounds similar to Uber? Because Lyft is a totally different name, but they're
Totally.
doing the same thing. Lyft and Uber, they're
Yeah.
two different names, but they're doing the same thing.
Hmm.
This is what you see. Again, my brother, until we, the Guyanese public, realize that there is benefit, there is added value in protecting what we have. And Martin and I have been attempting to edify. It is not only the artists, is all the creative business people have to understand how IP affects their business. All right? Because, for example, trademarking is important, patents are very important. If you come up with a very unique recipe for those people who, whether they're coming up with barbecue sauce, whether they're coming up with whatever it is, right? It's a unique blended recipe, and this got to do with just the food aspect now.
Yeah.
All right. All those things have to be protected. You're telling me with all the recipes we have in Guyana for food, we don't need to protect none of them recipes. We just need those recipes to fly.
Not recipe alone, names too. Names is a big thing.
No, no, well, I just dealing with the recipes alone because you can't get KFC recipe online. You can't get
You ain't get
Coca-Cola
no way.
mix, Pepsi, none of these companies information online. Um, so how are we going to protect when somebody comes up, when one of our young children come up with a product from what we have in Guyana and they need to benefit from it? What are we going to do at that point in time? Well, we should have tried and implement the copyright law back then. Or Guyana could have made billions off of this product. Really?
We're
We
not
got to
going
be
to
more
do anything
proactive.
until we start suffering, until the people in charge start suffering. We not see no change, brother.
And that's why
With
it's
with
called,
all we age put together, with
it's not
58 years of independence,
politicians are
nothing
not
happened.
going in. They're not going in there with the pride of generational politics. They're going in there with term by term politics.
With pocket politics.
Well,
I take and put in my pocket.
term by term means pocket because it's like living paycheck to paycheck. I there in here for this period. This is me. I want to make sure whatever I do here is to benefit me. I don't have time with what going down the
No,
road.
but hold on. One of the things, Sherwin, while you mentioning that, right? I know for a fact that is in Guyana's parliament is that there should have been a declaration of assets before anybody go into parliament. All right.
Yo,
So
I want to say that do
hold
happen.
on, hold on.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that all the Guyanese will sit there and watch on, and I don't know, well, they gotta be sailing. Because if you know there's a declaration of assets, how many of these people didn't we see a woman carrying a coffin in City Hall ground against Karen Suba, what's her name is? All right. And then this very person, like what, miraculously a couple of years later, like they're extremely rich. How does that happen?
let me
Mm.
ask you a question, right? How does a
Politics is
kid,
paying off.
how does a kid that just came out of secondary school, went to training school, become a traffic police with white sleeve, nothing else
Yeah.
with white
Yeah.
sleeve? And the next thing you know, he has two cars, a
A
big
boss.
house, and a
Yeah.
bus, or maybe two houses in the yard. Now
No,
you
hold on,
telling
hold
me
on, hold on.
you telling me uh as a what was it,
Traffic rank.
a law enforcement department,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell me you get the knowledge of this what going on. You ain't gonna put your foot down on it from a long time. It's been like what's going on in the country.
So let me address it from this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the kid who just come out of the police academy, right? Accumulating wealth that, in our opinion, they may reach to yet, or they shouldn't have reached to that fast. Now, we could put a couple things in place because today a car is very easy to go pick up, right? I believe it's $300,000 per, and you could go. So one individual could literally go out of the service or out of the academy, which I believe, and y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they do give you a stipend once you're training and these side of things. And then once you jump in 3 months, if you get 100,000 a month, you can afford to go pick up a car. In 6 months, you could go pick up 2 cars, right? So we gotta look at it from the actual standpoint. Because I
We gotta
spoke
look
to a
at it.
partner.
We gotta look at it as how you salary paying for 2 car. That's how we
Exactly.
looking at it.
No,
How
but-
you salary, even if
No,
you're
but what
paying
is
it on
it?
terms. Hold on, even if you
Mhm.
gotta pay it on terms because you
Correct.
said 300,000 paid down.
Correct.
Now, how you salary your salary as a police officer in Guyana, not the US, is
Yeah, but we
70,000
looking
a
at
year.
it also
70,000 a
sounds like
year
we
for
talking about
officer in
a
the
dunce
US.
officer. It sounds like we talking about a dunce officer with
No,
little sense,
no,
but know that
well, what?
as we know,
Well,
Malachi, all of them
uh,
black vehicles exist on the road because they're owned by police officers
yeah.
and military personnel. So
Mhm.
all of them heavily tinted vehicles that we know is on the road that in taxi service, right? We know money is being paid through taxi, through this body, through that body, right? We can't just look at it as an all-out corruption in that standpoint because it will make me feel stupid now that I know I getting back home and I just realized, hey, my friend who just got a job at Exxon Mobil, he tell me today, literally, I just bought the third car. And I asked him, what you doing the first one? You just got a second one? He man said, yeah, here's what happened. It's easy right now, my G.
Mhm.
And he just got a job. You
Okay.
see
His
it, man?
job. Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, he's
Hold
doing
on.
taxi service, right?
Yeah.
No.
See, he running taxi, plus he doing Exxon. He working at Exxon.
So the man could afford to pay
Didn't
set
tell you.
those.
Same thing for a police officer.
No, no, no,
Same
no, no,
thing.
no, no.
No, hold on. Same thing for a government worker who complaining that them ain't making enough money. Trust me, I've known way too much government worker. As much as the partying and thing at night, them people eating bread in a legal
What,
manner.
illegal?
So you're saying, hold on. So you're
Legal,
saying,
very.
all
I
right. So
know.
you're
I
saying
know
that.
of people who got jobs as photographers for the government in various departments, and they making something. Like I go back and say, hey, I want to be a photographer back home.
So hold on. So they making enough money. They could afford to down pay on 2 cars and then
Yeah,
pay
man.
the installments.
Yeah, man.
Comfortable, no
Easy.
bills.
Easy. No, remember now, a car payment is about what, $30,000 a month. So even if you buy 2 cars in 6 months, right, or 9 months,
Where
all
you
your
get it
salary
from?
kind of
Where, who giving you this car for 150 a month, man? Because I
no,
mean,
no,
whoever they is, you gotta
you're not
point me in the
paying that,
direction.
you're not paying more than $40,000-$50,000 back every month, brother.
Well,
People
I
could
could
afford
tell
it, man.
it's affordable, but what I'm saying, 30,000 is not it, because that's 150.
No, $40,000. We think it's the car payment right now, Malachi. $50,000. That is half of your regular month's salary. That is why people could
Yeah,
afford it.
yeah, that's all. That is what I was alluding to. I was saying 30, 40 to 50, but you said 30. I was like, that's 150 though. 30 is a
No, no,
little too
but
low.
30 depends on who you buy it from, where you buy it, when you buy it, and these sort of things.
If it's a reconditioned used.
Remember, you gotta look at all the factors. That's why I say you can't say it in the event whereby somebody can't afford, because I know
Mm,
people who got low-level government jobs and affording things. Make I look bad living in America.
mm.
You understand
And
me?
you know what's another thing that's causing all these things to be to a level where these guys could own all these. Okay, we buy this, buy the fast.
Mm.
Now, where is the country's revenue that's coming back through all the ownership of these things? Because remember, when you got a house, if it's in a proper way, you're supposed to have your tax for whatever taxes you got to pay,
Yeah.
right? Also, if you got a car, you have insurance, proper insurance you got to pay on a yearly basis to make sure you're properly covered.
Mm.
Also, you got to go and make sure that you keep your whatever up. You got tickets with
Your
tourists,
road service license and all of that has got to
all
be up
these
to
different
So
things.
that
Bro,
part is mainly America,
No,
right?
but at
That
the
part.
end of the day,
In Guyana,
it's
a man in
supposed to
cable
be.
TV
I
fire
bet you they
insurance
got a
in
loss for
house.
that.
Yeah, they have the laws, but we don't have the people implementing them laws. So a man in cable TV insurance, right? A man in cable TV carry insurance, especially if he ain't got enough money this month, right? If he get in an accident, you know it's cheaper to actually go to the body work man that he know down the car, no, than have the insurance lash you a little bit, giving away your money to insurance, as we say in America, right? Because even in America, we rather drive with car without the extra bills. So if that exists in Guyana, which we know, then you can't knock a man for not for bucking GRA, bucking NIS, bucking everybody else. Because why I giving you me money and me benefiting nothing else from the system? I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
You sight me? Paying NIS is the I can't remember who I had a conversation with, probably Malachi, and they was telling me, you know, you could go and get a loan from NIS. And I said, what? In how did nobody tell me that I paying into NIS could then turn back and get a loan?
Government normally borrow loans from NIS.
Yeah,
Government almost take
but
all the
but
NIS
people.
money and do what they gotta do with it, and then they put
But
back.
listen,
That's why
people
sometimes
You
get.
people
don't know
start
this
getting
though.
money.
But the population don't know these things. You see, a regular man waiting on the pension. Now, in America, we know, hey, when we paying insurance, we want we money, especially if it's a term life or whatever. We ain't dying for just now. Hey, we want we bread, because we ain't dead yet. No, I didn't understand until the other day that this same system exists in Guyana already. Now, I happy go lucky to go pay my NIS now. Because if you say I could go and get a loan, here's what happened. I need a proper dental. I need some medical. I need things that I know y'all supposed to have. Now I want to see the books. What is the books for NIS? Where's y'all policies? These are the things I concerned with now.
Well,
It's like,
when
man,
you want to see the books, for NIS, you have to tap in with the Auditor General's office.
but that's not hard. That's why we got to start pressuring. Remember, it started with people like me who feel the need to have. The rest of the public don't feel the need to have the extra loan from the insurance company because they already bucking it. They're not paying it. You
No,
understand? For you to go
you're
now and
trying to
ask
play.
NIS, for you to go ask NIS, let me see what going on at the back there. Let me see what's your policies. Them answer, what's your name? Jack? But Jack, you got business and you ain't never paid nothing all your time. But you expecting your pension coming up, right? Jack already 40 years old in the system.
Now
Jack
you
ain't
gonna play.
paid nothing.
Now you gonna play Malachi. That knows exactly what they're behind there. Then tell them what they're behind there. And then they're gonna turn and say, you know too much. You like you.
Now I want to see.
You think you're gonna reach behind there? You ain't gonna reach behind there, bro. You ain't gonna reach.
See, but this is where it's
You're a threat
important
right
to
away.
know. Well, I rather be a credible threat than one of them done stuck on the street. You understand me? Because if you can kill me now for saying NIS is payout loan, then everybody y'all better start piling up in front by NIS money coming. Because them just payout loan. Y'all just need to understand y'all gotta pay them first before you garner that money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
See,
I
Guyana need.
I think you have to have a certain amount of payments already, contributions already made,
Yeah.
and then
But Guyana needs some
which is
good,
why I'm
some
asking
John
to see the
Lewis.
policies because I don't understand the policies. You understand me?
Guyana,
Same thing with
Guyana needs
taxes.
some John
I went.
Lewis.
sorry,
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
sorry about that. I
Go
said
ahead, Trevor.
Guyana needs some John Lewis where they need good trouble. People that can make good trouble. And of course, because the people that's trying to enlighten and bring out certain things, what happens is because they're so small or they're so or there's a single person or whatever, they normally they normally pounce upon quickly and they either put aside or if they're creating a store where it looks as though they're going to bring in too much of people's interest, they would do you something for you to learn or teach you a lesson or something. That's what happens on a regular basis. So it's like a kind of a
I'm
bully something
by all
goes on.
means,
Well, my
by
brother,
all means, I live for the thrill.
Yeah, Guyana ain't new to the kind of attitude, right? Guyana is not new to that. It's just that it's in Guyana. What happens is that it's totally for the wrong reasons. The
Mm-hmm.
reasons a lot of people use it outside is maybe listen, my competition I can get a rival here, so I need to slow down my competition. In Guyana's case, what they do is that no competition whatsoever. I want the monopoly, so I kill everything that come up, right? Or I should say, attempt to kill everything that come up, because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, over the years, anybody could tell you that numerous times people have attempted to destroy everything that I'm trying to do in terms of promoting the Guyanese culture fully, and that Guyana
Yep.
must have its own identity, and to create that identity, what we need to do. And a lot of people over years have said, no, they can't work. They've come up with billion and one excuses of why it can't work. But each day passes, things keep changing,
Yes,
because
sir.
the US Trademark and Patent Office was in Guyana alongside the French consulate. They have met with the government. So regardless of, again, regardless of how long they attempt to drag that particular process out, because it's dragging that process out.
They
Because
can
if they
read.
really wanted to move on that, they would have moved to have public consultations on that issue immediately. That is what needs to happen, because a lot of the people in the government are not edified, period, on the issue of IP.
Mm-hmm.
Period. They brain in there at
Well,
all
I
when
wouldn't
it
even
comes
say
to
a
IP.
lot. None of them.
There is
None of
not
them at all.
there.
You can't even say a lot.
No, but
It's not there.
normally,
It's
normally, Malachi is specified by announcers. I heard that before, and also, normal conversation you would hear that that's something that he's been on and is well educated on that pointer. So
Yeah.
definitely
correct.
they actually have an idea of directions to go.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
they they've been knowing who been trying to tell them about it. And I'm sure it's not only Malachi. Somebody might, by the way, get a little idea of what it
Yeah.
is
There are
and
other people who have
talk about
mentioned
it.
it several times. Um, at certain forums, there was WIPO at one point in time, before what's his name, Dennis Ward, passed away. um, who is a Bajan Guyanese. He's a Bajanese. He left
Yeah,
Barbados and he came to live in Guyana. But he saw that Guyana had that niche that they needed to fix, which was the issue of IP. So he, in collaboration with myself, in collaboration with Bertram Simon, a couple of other individuals, Wally Fraser, and Vision's team, we all kind of like got together and we discussed having WIPO in Guyana. They came in, they had a seminar at the Pegasus, which was attended by, a limited amount of individuals who kind of like understood the issue. But what I have made clear to both sides and parties and governments is that what we need is to have, um, to edify the public regarding the IP issue. Because if they're
Yeah.
not edified about that issue and the way it affects them or how they can benefit or protect themselves on the IP, they will not know. And we will be a society or a group or people in Guyana that don't know about IP or how to protect what comes uniquely from us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is totally ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous for that to happen for a country like Guyana to not have IP protection laws.
So let's stick a pin right there, right? We ain't gonna go
Mhm.
far. With that being said, what is the definition of sanction?
Sanction.
Yes. Because if you
Well,
could
mm,
sanction an individual or a group of people
mhm,
based on information received,
yeah.
why not sanction another group of people, right? Or individual
Hmm.
based on stuff that you're supposed to be doing, as far as I see, according to other countries,
Yeah.
following certain policies and these other things,
Hmm. Well, I'll
right?
tell you what. Other countries outside of, let's say, the US,
Hmm.
um, wouldn't be able really to institute sanctions on Guyana because Guyana is not dependent on them
Mm.
for anything. So having a sanction is like up in the air. Who cares? All right. However, for the entity that you depend on for certain things, for
Mm.
example, we would have to depend on the US for protection if Venezuela decides to come across. That's a
Mm.
fact. All right. We have to depend on a US based company to be providing that amount of capital GDP, which is ExxonMobil.
Mm.
So in policies or foreign policies that governments use, for example, saying, okay, we'll sanction a particular nation, you have got to be in the position of power to do the sanction
Mm.
because you can't sanction a country that don't need nothing from you. They couldn't care less.
So how
Yeah.
do you sanction an individual who's also in most cases don't need nothing from you?
Well, okay. In the case of an individual, when you're sanctioned, is a bad thing, a very bad thing to be sanctioned.
Mm.
Because not only will your travel be severely restricted, all right, your ability to conduct business, transactions, banking, all of those things will be slowed down and confined.
Mm.
So it's making every aspect of your very existence difficult.
Hmm. So why I mention that is on the articles that would have been released,
Uh-huh.
right, early in the day, it is mentioned that the US is imposing sanctions on, you know, the Mohammeds, his businesses, the people around him, so forth, so
Hmm.
forth, right?
Including that lady from who is part of the civil service who's working in the government. What's her
Yeah,
name?
well, I kind of want us to go through all of that and then
Uh,
tie it back into why is these things happening to this individual or these group
mhm,
of people.
yeah.
And we've heard or we've seen stuff, about other individuals in high parts of the government, in other people associated with members and so forth.
Hmm.
Because if we're going to call out one man, well, at least for me, I like to make sure that everybody who's pointing fingers realize that, hey, me hand dirty also.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot. This is why I mentioned earlier that opening one can of worms, it ain't undone. There's many more cans of worms gonna open.
So I
Be-
want to start off with the first presentation, in a
mhm.
sense, whereby this is direct. I like to, as a journalist, I like to, cite my sources when needed,
Sources
of
for that,
course.
of
Yes,
course.
when needed,
Yes,
right?
definitely. Yeah.
And I want to share this with us.
Hmm. This is the vice president's page on Facebook.
Yes.
Hmm.
Let me
All
pull
right.
it back up correctly. Hold
Yeah.
on. But this is, as Malachi mentioned, the vice president page, right?
Hmm.
Now, the reason I pull this up is to make sure that we in showing information that, as people would say, oh, where you get it from, and these are the things.
Yeah. It's on
Because
his page.
if it's here, yes, if it's here, then you could understand what's going on.
It's public information. It's out there.
right? Yes, this is directly what I kind of want to focus on
Yes, the
a
government
little
of
bit.
Guyana press statement. Hmm.
I know if you want to go ahead and read that, Malachi.
Well, it's small from my angle. It's little bit. All right.
All right. So,
It says for immediate release. And of course, this comes out from the government of Guyana press statement. The government of Guyana has taken careful note of a press release issued by the United States Department of the Treasury. Well, that's a typo. That should be in the Department of Treasury on the 11th of June 2024, which informed of the three Guyanese nationals and entities as being sanctioned by the Department of the Office of Foreign Assets Control, the OFAC. Based on the information referred in the press release, the Ministry of Finance and relevant statutory agencies, including the Guyana Revenue Authority, will be requesting additional information on the matters highlighted, with a view to aiding local law enforcement agencies. The government of Guyana takes very seriously the claims contained in the press release and will continue to engage relevant United States entities on these matters. In the meantime, the the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Labor, Miss May Thompson, has been sent on leave with immediate effect. The government of Guyana will include will continue to work with the United States government on all matters of mutual interest, including the respect for the rule of law and order. Dated June 11th, 2024.
we're gonna leave that up there for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
there's a couple things because I could read, but I like to hear, right? So I could have my thoughts gathered,
You bounce
right?
back.
And not just yes, and not
Yeah.
just go off of obviously the comments and things, what we
Yeah.
could see on the side and so on, right? Which there's a ton of it.
Hmm.
Now, from this mention, from this statement, right? The
Hmm.
government of Guyana press statement. Now, I would like to know who was the person that wrote this? Because me being a publicist, I kind of understand, well, all right, yeah, we need stuff like this, eh? Obviously, as the government of Guyana, right? But
Hmm.
then, did this person consult with anybody else?
No, they didn't have a proofreader.
Even with the minor typos, right?
Mm.
Because obviously English could be written and read in certain forms, right? That way people could understand. Now, the reason I asked if they had consult with anybody else is because the way it's written, it's pretty much saying, well, America doing what they're doing, and we tagging along based on the information they gave you.
Boss, that's what I was saying from the beginning. You make it look as though that you have no clue of what was going on, and you now see what is actually released, and you would like to be of great, or what I would say, you must
Hmm.
cooperation
Mhm.
into getting or giving assistance towards this. And at the same time, trying to figure out what they have gathered so that we can use that for our. Now you tell me earlier, Malachi,
Uh-huh.
these guys was into investigating approximately 2 years now.
Mhm.
Well, that's Well, that is what was said
So
on the
now
vice
you telling me
president's live.
by this statement, which it make no sense, telling me, oh, all right, whatever you give me, I am gonna start, or I'm gonna use that to get into my local sense of investigating to deal with to deal with certain matters. Boy, it's
So
all, it's all a game that they want people to sit down and be like, oh, there's something that's
un-
going on.
understanding, right? Understanding. Now, let me be the devil's advocate, right? Whereby if I was the government um press secretary, which is a
Mhm,
position that I don't think exists currently, right? But
mhm.
we have to educate people as we go along on this conversation journey, right?
Real,
If
real.
I was the government press secretary, I wouldn't have released a statement of this kind. It makes the government look dumb, right? Or as we all know, dunce thugs, right? It makes the people look like what we call ourselves dunce, right?
Yeah,
Because if this is coming out from the government um place, whoever is the head of the government, because it was shared by the vice president. That didn't mean is he put it out, right? So
Hmm.
I don't know who is the government of Guyana press statement body, but we need proper headlines, right?
it's a
We need
rush up.
proper headlines.
You gotta do
Man,
something fast
no,
before
listen,
it
listen.
goes bad.
It's not a problem with it being fast, Sherwin. It's a problem with the structure. All right. Especially when you are doing PR work. PR is a very important. You have to understand your position on
You
what
don't
you're
even have
trying
a
to.
signature, mano. You see the bottom and you
hence,
no signature. You don't
hence
even have a
why I
signature,
said,
mano.
No, this is
hence why I
exactly why
said,
we
if
pull it
I
from.
I
don't know
was the
what's going on
government
here.
press secretary, now we have to make sure these positions and these people in position understand their tasks from a day-to-day standpoint.
No,
If I
You know
was
what
no.
the press
everybody going you know what
secretary,
everybody gonna turn and say? I don't know why the person released it because it's not my signature. I didn't tell him to release that.
But
This
this
is
this
this is
but
stupid
this is
over
on the
here.
vice president's page, right?
Yeah, but what I'm
This is
saying,
on the vice president's
hence
page.
why
you can
I
say
pull.
you can say you don't control the page. Shifting
No,
up.
but no, which is true, which is true,
No,
which
which
is
is
true. These
true.
guys ain't got time for all of that,
You
But
right?
telling
but
me
Like I said, it was shared on his platform, just like, well, I wouldn't share this because it make no sense to me, but I would share
Mhm.
something of more substance, right? Of more. English is already a funny language. It's like we in June, right? Yeah, English like June month. So much things happening. The LGBT, the black movement, the everybody just wanna be outside in June, right? Because it's summer coming up, of course. So this statement is one of the representing of the month it was released, June, right? Now, where do we go from here? Since it states that, well, the government plan to work along with the US, right? And put things in place. Now we have to ask in question, as you would have mentioned, Sherwin, or I would have mentioned actually, I would have heard stories from the beginning of my time about these exact individuals. Now, does this prove that my theories as a child and stories that I heard, which everybody else would have heard as mythical stories, would it be proven true now with all of these things happening? Especially since I have a better understanding of what it is to be sanctioned, right? Now, do we all as Guyanese understand that we could all be sanctioned, given
of
that
course.
we do wrong in
You
these
do anything.
manners?
You can be sanctioned by the government in Guyana, or else you could be sanctioned if you do anything that affects another port or another land. If it's in effect of that port or land, or against the laws governing this is a law that's governing. If you notice, there is a on the statement of itself, there is a there is a code. If
Mhm.
I googled it, and it was it I can't remember the full statement of it, but if you look at the US statement, you know for sure exactly what it is that they're being charged or someone sanctioned under.
Correct. So let
You
me pull
understand?
that up now, right? Whereby, as you're mentioning that aspect, let me pull that in place. And that will come directly from the Department of Treasury,
Yeah, U.S. Treasury Department.
right? Which, as you guys know, if you see the headings and everything, you
Yes,
know it's
Treasury
official.
targets corrupt network in Guyana.
Hence the headline.
Mhm. Could just pull it up a little bit more for me, Martin.
Mhm.
So just increase the size for me a little bit, the font size. Grazie. Okay, so it says today the Department of Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control, the OFAC, sanctioned members of one of Guyana's wealthiest families, Nazir Mohammed Nazar, and his son Azruddin Mohammed, or Azruddin Mohammed. I guess his enunciations they're having issues with.
Well, it's
Their
English.
company, Mohammed's Enterprise, and a Guyanese government official, all right, May Thompson, for their role in public corruption in Guyana. Now, I mean, like I said, and this is kind of like a
In
repeat
just
of
in Guyana.
the last of the last statement. But you can see plainly here that it says U.S. Department of the Treasury that's
Mhm.
putting out this information.
So there is some kind of a new because this might not have been happening in years gone by. Is there some new implement or agreement that is happening? The US has certain amount of of power now that they can go after corruption in the country itself. Because if you notice, in network in Guyana.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to figure out if everything is happening in the dark, but then all the fire coming out in the light.
Well,
Because
it's gonna happen in the dark, sure, because what a lot of these agencies that have come into Guyana are doing, it's more covert than obvious. So they are going to be doing a lot of covert activities to get information about certain individuals who may appear on the radar. I'm quite sure that those three individuals are not the only three individuals that's on the radar. But those are the three individuals that they can say safely, no, hey, gotcha.
Hmm. So
well, Daisy
wasn't
Daisy Daisy top dogs in the sense of what we need to get first that information from.
No, well,
Could
they,
be
they, they are the top dogs based on the allegation, because the allegation only deals with one thing, which is the whole gold smuggling issue. All right, it deals with that. Um, any other bits of information, we still have to wait until Thursday when there will be more
you know
divulging
with
of
gold,
information. All
you know
right.
with gold. The
No,
US
well,
don't
that's what I'm saying. It goes
US
all over the place.
US
So
love gold. Oh, I love gold.
I don't think
They don't
they got
play.
any world power that don't like gold.
I mean, I love gold.
Yeah. China love gold. America love gold. You know, everybody love gold.
It's only we don't understand where you're supposed to hide the gold. We just wear it a flash like we are the gold. We
Well,
know we supposed
Lack
to
of
stack up point.
understanding for self.
well,
We know we supposed to stack
well.
up point.
If those three individuals who were leaving Guyana with the gold cover in silver were attempting to take out 15 pounds of
Hmm.
gold, right? 15 pounds of gold.
I would like to know, is these people associated with these people? You understand?
Man. There's
Is
a
is,
little bit
is this
gold,
how it
man.
Well,
was happening?
well,
At
well.
make things got skinned up.
When you
There's a
see Eldorado,
normal, there's a normal family hustle. We try a thing there, but no.
no, that was a big hustle.
No,
15 pounds is a big
you
hustle, Michi.
remember now?
15
Plus,
pounds
it was ducked in silver
between
for look a
between the
certain way.
family.
No, it's three individuals. The gold get docked in silver to look
Yeah, I
like the
know.
silver,
Yeah.
right? But it's 15 pounds all three of them have all together, which is a big runnings.
Yes.
That's a big runnings, my
It
bro.
is a small thing for them for what going on, man. The real
You
thing is
talk,
No, but,
when
that's
you
why I
get
asked, right?
you're
they
talking
know by
roughly on.
and
You're talking
crate,
roughly about just under a half a billion.
crates and I
That's
still
why
yo
I asked if possible were these people associated with those people, right?
Well, we don't
And
know
how
because,
much
of
other
course,
things?
investigations gonna prove.
Well, there's the thing. How much other things pass that we never heard of, right? Because we know things come in the country, nice fancy cars and nice arsenals and these are the things. People come in the country. We know if you got 10 individual coming in with 10,000 apiece, it's little
Hmm.
bread. Is right, man.
Yeah.
And you don't have to declare all of that. So how did this thing went down? This is what I kind of want to know. Is the stories that we would have heard true based on these articles and sanctions, right? Because remember, it's people associated with also. And based on stories, recent stories with individuals, it was said that, hey, anybody in a picture, anybody associated in any sense, the government don't
Yeah.
look at and say, nah, no visa, no this, no that, no that. You understand me?
Well, not the government, but the U.S. is looking at them
Correct.
and saying, "Well, what's
Well,
your
remember them as government
association?"
within themselves. Yeah.
They're looking
So,
at it and saying, "What's your
because
association with this?"
why I'm asking, now let me also be the devil's advocate. Now, I being a born Muslim, if I would have went to masjid any given time and taken a picture with individuals and I post it up, because it is said that with easy crown prince and so on. If I would have taken pictures with,
He- He's the crown prince. Crown,
well,
crown prince of what? I mean, that is that guy and
no,
got
I've heard,
some
man.
sort of
Eldorado,
dynasty or a kingdom or something like that. He
remember
got
guy in
him.
this Eldorado. So if I would have taken pictures and so with the crown prince and the royal family, and I posted online, would have been caught up? How caught up would I have been? At which point would the people start looking at me in a weird way? Because remember, I living in America. Would
Hmm.
I now end up becoming a pawn of theirs? You understand me? Let's say the brotherhood fall apart. What would happen to me within the brotherhood? Just like we see with other individuals, would they have wanted back their equipment and so on? Obviously, I would have built a studio too because that's what I need for production. But I need answers. It's like,
bro, what we see happening today is a ongoing process from years, right? It was an
Hmm.
ongoing process. It's a matter of interest for a long time. Um, because of what actually is occurring in Guyana now, you know what I mean? Things to go to the direction of where you gotta deal with things the way we telling you that we need you to do it, because these things cannot, we cannot look at them and just let them brush,
Mhm.
because we people getting involved, and we get so much going on, so much flushes, so much operation going in and out and all of that.
Mhm.
We cannot
Mm-hmm.
get this to pass like we was brushing it aside all them time.
All right then.
Understand? And there's a lot of people that's gonna eventually turn and tell you, eventually, yo, I had enough of this. I had enough of politics, and it's time for me to roll. But
Well,
there's
I had
reasons. There
enough
gonna be reasons
politics.
for that. There gonna be
I
reasons
mean,
for that,
I ain't
because
even there in it.
people know, and people is understanding, because if you notice, there's so much interest from different sides of things that's coming in all the time into the country. And the basic things, like I would say, this is what I want to say, the basic things that should be attended to, that is most important for the future of the people. But no, they're not they're not looking into that, which is simple things.
Mm.
You, you're looking at, it's like I would normally call it the Woodans kind of dynasty. Reason
Mhm.
why, the Woodans be eating out the house inside, and it's looking so beautiful on the outside. But when you really go and you just tap the wall, the whole wall is
Right.
Collapse.
hollow. It makes no sense. So
Mhm.
that is what I think is going on. You giving us all these things to look at. Yo, look at this. Look at what's going on here. Everything is improving. But are you improving the real basic weight of what the country's supposed to be riding on? IP
So
laws.
it is no,
If
hold on. Well, I was going to ask you if that's based on individuals or the government itself you're speaking on.
no. The individuals also, because of implications of what the government is going to put in place, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
cause people to be more responsible for the country that they're living in. They'll be
Yep.
understanding of what, I am not living a free for our place where I could just come out and talk nonsense. I got to hustle, and I ain't got time for sit down on no internet to talk a bundle of nonsense, going in there and gonna make video for telling me
Yeah.
that you want to take care of this individual for just all for the reason of skit. Nobody ain't got a time, because well, things are gonna be at such a level that everybody's gonna be at a fast pace of, yo,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure, because I cannot get it easy like it think it should. Even theater shows and all these things is gonna be so much properly structured because of how these laws that's set in place
No,
properly.
but Sharon, before you go too far, and I'm glad you mentioned that, right? If you notice, and correct me if I'm wrong, when last have you guys heard of a big production coming at the cultural center?
Nothing
As the
properly.
content even open properly.
All right. So we see another aspect of the creatives is also being eroded there. That's the stage, the actors, all of that is being eroded because now you don't hear people saying, "Hey, they got a big show at the cultural center. I getting ready." You don't hear that anymore. So
It's been a
we're
while.
it's been a while. Where's the acting now? So you notice all of that is being eroded slowly but surely. It's being eroded. So the crafts guys, they're almost done because the whole main street used to have a set of them. They almost done. They down to a little handful of them at the end, right? The theater, the functioning of the cultural center, the theater guild, the actors, there that's also on the way out. All right, the
Mm.
creators in terms of the artists, well, we all know what's going on with them, which is nothing, right? When it comes to the other aspects of them, I'm really sorry for the people who doing writing and all of that, because if the artist thought it was bad for them, the other creatives is even worse,
Hmm.
you know. And for people who try, like for example, the critic who will try to use social media to create a job or to make monetize, get money from it, it's going to be very difficult because Guyana is not on board in full with IP. Again, there's a lag. We
Yes.
can't get our monies coming directly to Guyana and all of that. You gotta go through a whole heap of process, and you gotta go to a special bank, and they have to make sure that is a legit, you know, because we still are under the anti-money laundering and financing of terrorism bill. You know, I'm hoping that Guyana by now has gotten full approval, and there is no, you know, um, they're not constantly looking at us over our shoulder like, is we all doing? Y'all doing the right thing, or is another con? You know, so
Well,
that's the go ahead.
I would have wanted to think, Malachi, that with all this stuff that have been going on, right?
Mm.
Everybody is looking on. I want to think, well, we gonna see some type of change. But I think we might get hit 100 years until we start seeing any real changes.
Well, again, the only way we're gonna subjectively get change is if we can get the collective creative body to understand that, listen, the way the government is gonna hop, skip, and jump to the table for you very quickly is to come together in a group, not just artists, not just songwriters. We're talking book writers, we're talking photographers, we're talking cinematographers, we're talking the Actors Guild, the all of them, all of us need to come together because we all are classified as the creative industry. All right.
Mm,
Now, the creative industries in Guyana is definitely more than 10,000 people
of course.
because we got dancers, they got models, all of that make up part of the creatives. And once we say as a grouping that, okay, if you don't put IP as part of the manifesto for 2025's development, well, you're going to miss 2 seats in parliament because
You
we're going to
taking one I
take
take
that.
one?
We can take 2 seats in parliament because I think
Because
they need individuals who could really shake up the thing,
yeah,
you
of
know.
course. I
Because
mean,
of course, you know, I've been talking about, hey, I just think there's too much old guys in there, man.
well, I too agree. Is right. I too agree, which is why I kind of getting the urge as of late, as we would have spoken with the, hey, well,
Yeah,
I think I might have to make politics my career because I never
yeah,
really
it's
had a career path. I've just been following my dreams when it comes to music, entertainment, journalism, and anything else in between,
yeah.
right? But to actually have a career to make changes, because I reach where I could reach. I still got
Mm-hmm.
more when it comes to this part of the business, right? But I need to step out of my comfort zone of where I am
Mm-hmm.
today so I could reach my fullest potential to where I need to be in this field, right? So with that being said,
Go ahead.
how could we make changes? When
Mm-hmm.
do we make changes? Because if I'm 30 this year and I haven't seen much change, right? Boots on the ground is all good. Boots been on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, right? Only thing now we're seeing it because of social media, right? So it now
Mm-hmm.
looking like a lot of things are being done, but it's the same five things every election coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We've all built over the same roads over and over, different contractors. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in most communities now, we finally get in roads. We've seen certain transformation, we've seen certain changes. But then for the people, we have, I think every other day I seen teachers reposting that they're still on strike.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do about that? Now, I don't want to say it directly because I haven't watched the press conference that was held, and I believe this story would have been pulled from. But
What was really funny when I think it was the vice president that says he doesn't want teachers with two subjects. I
well,
mean, who in the public service, because I don't think the vice president needed to make that statement, but who in the public service actually
Again,
allowed a teacher
Malachi,
to get
if
into the teaching career with two subjects?
again, Malachi, if I was the press secretary, certain things wouldn't have been out there, right? You would know how
because
to
because
address the
because
people.
you know how embarrassing that is for the vice president of the country to be saying that they don't want to have teachers who have two subjects. I mean, where is the criteria? Where's the rule for being a teacher? Didn't you have to go through Siripata training, then go over to the university, etc.,
Which
etc.?
requires a bunch of subjects to enter
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
teacher
So,
training college.
so how a two subject teacher even end up
So
teaching?
I could honestly say I know people without actually any subject,
But they
right?
teaching
In
in Guyana.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
So
man. Yeah,
how did
man.
that happen under the teachers union that's claiming that they're providing a high level of education, so they should be paid?
I know which teacher union, brother. The same teacher union that thief all the Jews. The same the same teacher union which is not being functioned by an actual teacher. You see, I kind of have a problem as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as a student of
A
life,
politician running the things. Yeah.
right? I can't stand, and this is why I never like going to school, right? I never like the idea of my teacher trying to tell me what to do and how to do it, given that I know he or she got the experience. Besides that 15, 20 plus years of dung in the head in a book. Yes, I. So I never used to drop out of school. I never sat at the back of the class with the Don Stokes. I always sat in front just so I could get that teacher attention and pull them up
Hmm.
and say, hey, you tell him it's shopping this, right? Because I know from year high, right? Me being in primary school, me being in first, second year of secondary school, whereby business teachers, as you do office administration and business administration, these are the things.
Business administration. Yeah.
And they telling me, well, specifically the business administration, right? That teacher used to
Hmm.
tell me, oh, this is how it used to had, this is how it's supposed to go, and this is the. But I know I've been running a shop, even though it was a car in a shop. I've been running that
Hmm.
shop since I was super small. And
Hmm.
I actually have the understanding of how to manage a shop with groceries on a day-to-day basis. So how
Hmm.
you gonna come and tell me something out of a book and expect me to apply this into my real life
Hmm.
when I know for sure it wouldn't make sense? So we always went at it in business class. Same thing for English. You can't come and tell me one word mean another word, but it's spelled the same. You're making
Hmm.
I feel like a dunce, and I there in front of the class. Yes, sir.
No, but I mean, it's a serious thing. I mean, we're not, and I'm hoping that people do understand the direction in which we say stuff. It's called constructive criticism, where we can look at a particular issue, and maybe if you didn't look at it from that perspective, we can then bring or shed some new light on that perspective that you did not look at.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, for those people who may be thinking, oh, they're argumentative or they're not constructive, yes, we are. We are being constructively using criticism to be constructive. All right. Shout out to Blackopedia. Blackopedia said he got mad information that he could be providing. But no, but back to the politics meets power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, Martin, I do believe that our politicians really need to pay attention to the changing landscape, the global landscape, and not just look at Guyana in isolation. Not just look at say, okay, well, we got oil, so we'll be able to eat, we'll be able to provide some basic functions for our people. But let's look at setting Guyana on a trajectory that will see us and our children's children exceed and excel. All right. And the
Mhm.
only way for that to happen is if they have certain types of enabling environment for that to happen. And if Guyana is the untapped place in the world right now for everything, for food, for culture, for music, none of what we have has ever been exposed. Down to the kwekwe in Guyana, which is a unique African marriage tradition ceremony that came over to Guyana, and they add their own little fine compliments to it.
Mhm.
All right. So we have to understand what is our unique culture, what is our unique products, what are our unique agricultural products, what are the unique landscape, our topography. All those things are part of what makes Guyana what it is. All right. And we really have to focus on the issue of IP laws. How does a company like Remax, which is an American real estate company, come to Guyana and use a photograph of the Kaichurs as part of their campaign? Where is the payment for Guyana? Because that's our intellectual property.
Correct. Our
Yeah.
people are lacking so much behind, brother,
Yeah.
that at this point I ain't even know who for blame. Because we can't just blame the government all the time, right? We
No.
can also give blame to the individuals because they
That
themselves are enabling these
encourage.
people.
Yeah, they're enabling it. They're
It's like,
enabling it.
man,
Mhm.
it's probably me because I always question myself just to make sure I's not the mad one, right? So if it's not me, then it's them, and that is how
Yeah,
I look at it.
well, I know it's them. I
No,
know it's them. I know it's them
no, well,
because if
I don't like to make sure and verify, right? That way, when I
mm,
double check and triple check myself, I am coming from a standpoint whereby I'm not biased to anybody, right? And
mm,
I'm coming from a factual standpoint. I would have checked my sources over and
uh-huh,
over and then send it out to other sources to be verified and then come back and so on, right?
yeah,
Which is why when I pull up the sites, I pull up credible people.
hmm,
Inside, I pull up government websites. Anything
yeah.
I'm saying, I know I could say it come from
Well,
this
it
man
came from
mouth.
the government's website. Exactly, exactly. And this is
Hence
where
why I tell
again.
people,
Mhm.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just saying when now that we have that in focus, and a lot of people have their
Hmm.
lawsuits going, this is what we have to
Hmm.
understand that it's about credibility. It's about
Aye.
pulling up your sources for your information and say, this is where the information came from.
So
So,
even
it,
let's zone in on that lawsuit aspect, right?
yeah,
Whereby same two individuals, the one being
mhm,
sanctioned, unfortunately, and
yeah,
the ex friend gotten into, we can't even say online tacking,
yeah, yeah,
right? One
hmm,
tack against the other, wherever the case may be, and
hmm,
they they're suing. Now that information is out there and it's proven,
hmm,
because in my opinion, one person was super forthcoming with the information,
yeah,
while the other one in a lot of cases was, you could have clearly seen they're trying to hide things.
secretive, very secretive, yeah.
Now, if you could do anything in the dark, then I gotta wonder where else there be any closet. And we
No,
still
but
in
whatever
June.
is done, well, we know what goes on in the dark coming to the light. It's just a matter of time.
That is the problem.
It's
How
just a
much
matter of
more?
time.
How much more is gonna come to light? Then
Yeah,
are we able to accept as a people, as a nation, the Guyanese? Are we able to accept what we're gonna be seeing coming forward?
yeah, because you remember I said it earlier, Martin, and it's going to be proven, bro. My word's going to come to pass again. Once
Hmm.
one can of worm open up, several other cans of worm can get opened up.
Pandora's box.
Pandora's box is going to happen. And I'm glad it's going to happen
Of
because it's
course, of course.
necessary, especially to humble certain individuals so that they can understand there's something called the rule of law. Not like in America where we have an ex-president who somehow is delusional and believes that he's above the law. He's a king, or he has rights on like nobody else. Because I know for a fact, and you know this as well, if you've got a felony in the US, that's bad. Just one.
Super. Yeah.
Super bad. Much less to have how much? 34, and you on the road. If you was a black man, he would have been bundled to jail. If that was Obama and he had one felony, he would have go to jail. As a matter of fact, I think they would have taken Michelle too and Ichiran just for
Anybody
good measure.
associated.
They would have jailed all of them because they are black. They would just lock them up, right? But imagine you have somebody with 34 felonies. How many felonies young thug got?
I can't remember at this point.
Because
I
young thug
haven't
on a
keep
re-
track of
young,
his situation.
young thug on a repo case, right? On
Yeah,
a RICO
Rico.
case. All right.
Mhm.
So let's say hypothetically, just throw it out there because I'm not quite sure. He ain't even gone up in the 7 or 8 range in terms of felony, right? It's just gun
Mhm.
possession
Let me
on some
verify
men,
his name as we go through.
right? As we go through. But 34 felonies and you walking scotch-free is a whole different perspective of the law, bro, in the US. And this makes it doubly equal to talk about democracy because, especially in America, now which prisoner sitting in jail and saying, I think the jury really did Trump badly, because, they should have looked at the case better. Are you serious? 34 felonies and he's still walking and you in prison. So what do you think the prisoners are gonna be thinking?
According to
They're
the
gonna be thinking
internet,
something wrong.
according to the internet, Young Thug them cases about 65 counts of felonies, right? But that is a collective of at least 27
That's
individuals.
There's Young Gunner, there's Young Thug, there's their crew,
That
there's
is the whole,
other people.
the whole YSL, everybody else,
Yeah,
inside,
yeah,
outside,
YSL,
everybody.
yeah.
So that is a collective. But for one
No,
person,
but
as you was mentioning,
one individual with 34 on he alone on one case.
mhm,
All right.
in one state,
In one
because
state, you could
there's other
imagine.
states that got cases pending.
You got Georgia, you got is it Michigan? I think it is. Yeah, you got other cases pending. I mean, like seriously. I mean, and again, you notice Guyana mirrors a lot of this madness that's coming out of the US.
Of course,
And it mirrors it identically. Because at the same time Guyana was going through the whole political turmoil at election time, was going on in the US as well. That is when we saw all those individuals running the capital and decide, okay, well, things got to change. They think Trump won, and they believe the lie. Now, this is one of the things that a lot of people, I think, need to understand. Now, for example, some people will, I can see some people saying, oh, Jack Deal, because a lot of people seem to zoom in on Jack Deal for corrupt acts, right? But
yes,
I think if it was that petty in corruption, he wouldn't be getting accolades outside of Guyana that says, okay, you're the champion of the earth. You have been the champion for climate change, and all them kind of, it does not, those things don't go together. Somebody who's involved in embezzlement and corruption, you don't get those accolades. All right. And I think that the US State Department, if they're looking at individuals in Guyana, they would have already looked at the president and realize, okay, we know what you're doing, we know what all the other people are doing, but again,
But
we're
what
gonna
he
know
did.
on Thursday, right? We're gonna know on
Mm.
Thursday when some more cans of worms will be open. We can't say everything now because all the can of worm in open yet. A matter of fact, the first can in open all the way yet. Right? Thursday, that can will be opened all the way. And I figure at that point it can open another can. Because
Of course. So
that can full already and run it over. So another can go out.
that is that is why I want to see how much more people are involved, right? How much
Mm-hmm.
innocent people already who already miss out the chance of getting a visa, right,
Uh-huh.
to go to the US. How much other people who actually have visas, who actually live in the US, is going to
Yeah.
be involved in this implications and sanctions, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's important. As me being a individual and a business person, know well, hey, if I want to carry cologne to Guyana, I can put it in a barrel, fold the barrel bottom, put some clothes on top. You understand? Put some canned food and them thing. Me shipping out some money, well, I never done it illegally, but legally transferring a certain amount, we know it is go through a process and
Of
all these
course.
things.
You've got to go through a vetting
It's like
process. And you've got to show
just
means. In
like
other
a
words, how did you get it?
correct, but it's easy to do a paper trail. In my
Mm-hmm.
estimation, my experience, I could create a paper trail today, and we could fly out to any country tomorrow and say, hey, yeah, we just get paid from this promoter, right? Because we see it in the music business a lot. Yeah, the promoter just give we the deposit, and we're
But
actually heading there now to go and do the business.
we got somebody who's asking a question
Mm,
in the comment section. Somebody says, "What about Jagdeo in Guyana? The evidence of money laundering in the SU Vice News documentary." All right,
mm,
Miss Odessa, um, Natalia, Odessa Natoya. All right. Now I have looked at the Vice News documentary. The Vice News documentary is not information about money laundering. What they're saying is that there is collusion with some guy named Sue and the vice president, which um, we haven't got Sue to say, yes, I collected the money on behalf of Jack Deal. So that would have been very strong evidence. All right. So let's
mm.
look at it from that standpoint, shall we, Odessa? So when we want to call out a politician, let's deal with what is evidence and not what
So
is hearsay.
let me play devil's advocate. Of course,
Yeah.
this story came out, broke the internet in a sense for Guyana,
Yeah,
right?
for Guyana. Yeah.
We clearly see the vice president fumble.
Yes,
We
we
can
did.
all see that when that lady mentioned, so who's Sue? We can all pretend that we didn't see Sue, right? We saw that, which proves that he do know Sue, and then he went on to mention, oh, Sue, he's a tenant at my residence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means they know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we never find Sue after. Now, being the devil's advocate, did Sue went back to the Chinese embassy and hide out and then went back home? Because if you don't know, if there's an issue in your country or in a country that you're residing in
Mm-hmm.
and you're a foreign citizen and they have an embassy in whatever country you're in, you could run to your country embassy,
Consulate, of course.
right,
For safe
for
haven.
protection.
Yeah,
And
safe haven. That's it.
legally, that country police, army, or anybody cannot
Cannot
enter
because
to
that's foreign
apprehend you.
soil. That's foreign soil at that point in time. That's foreign soil. You can't
So
do that.
did
I
Sue went
mean,
back to China.
well,
I
you
I
see
I
it.
was hoping that I would see a
Well,
second part of the documentary, But I think even
Well,
the lady doing the documentary went missing.
yeah. Well, according to the news now, the real news said that Vice News is going into bankruptcy. They don't have monies, so maybe they were looking for a story in Guyana, but they didn't get no story because again, if they had
Mhm.
evidence on the vice president, they would have brought that out. I think the U.S. State Department would have also brought out evidence on any corrupt deed that they caught him on, because I don't see
Correct.
them holding back information, especially to say, okay, well, we're gonna keep tabs on the opposition members only, and we're gonna let the government members ride free. I don't think that's the
Mhm.
way it works. Um, so
So
first,
just to clarify, there's a
uh-huh,
comment that was saying um the U.S. State Department has already sanctioned the
mm-hmm,
Guyana Home Affairs and Labor Department. Now,
mm-hmm.
the U.S. can sanction the Guyana Home Affairs and Labor
This is
Department.
where they get it.
Just to
Why
clarify,
labor department? What labor
they
has to
could
do?
sanction no, they could sanction individuals within the department, but the department themselves that belong to a democratic country, they can't put sanction on. So just to clarify, when you are reading, which is why I don't like to read, and I like when people read, so I could listen and take me
Mm-hmm.
time and understand what I'm hearing, because I got a different way of learning, right? So yeah, you can't sanction a government department, right? Well, as far as my knowledge go, I
Yeah,
have
listen.
never heard of it and
If
I've
it's
never
a inter,
seen it,
if it's
but
a
you can't
sanction, my
sanction the
brother,
department.
it's either personal sanction or it's a country sanction. It's lash.
Mhm. Correct.
All right. So it's a lot. I mean, listen. Um, Odessa. We don't want to go into a lengthy back and forth regarding a lot of the allegations, because again, like I said, when you asked the first question, I I asked the question to you. If this was that important and there was real evidence on the vice president doing these corrupt acts, where is Sue?
But not even though we take out Sue, right? Because there've been stories from since I
Yeah,
always had stories growing up. I don't know
yeah.
why,
We
right?
we heard
But
Jack Dio was responsible for killing over 400 black Africans in Guyana too. So
we
that
have never
means
gotten any proof.
that is tantamount to war crimes. All right, that's
Correct.
tantamount to war crimes, and the International Court of Law would have already sent for him to.
As good as Jagdio is
Yeah,
being a economist,
yeah,
the
they
rest of the
would have sent for
population,
you.
and then so let me actually be the devil's advocate. Now, if these things is happening with the current government and the people in power, right?
Hmm.
Why isn't it that the president haven't done anything about it? Let's say it's happening, right? We have to go off the notion that we know for sure Jack Yo did all these things that has been mentioning, right?
Yeah,
Why the
he
president
killer.
didn't do nothing about it? More
Mhm.
so, what the hell is the opposition doing when we've been running on black people and race and everything else in between, but we have this information on the vice president and
And they
we ain't
can't
gone
come to the
nowhere yet?
front. We ain't take it to
We ain't gone
court.
to any Department
We
of
didn't go.
Treasury, the
We no
world,
the
the
world
world people
court.
who come together.
Yeah,
No, I
we
talk
haven't.
about the United Nations.
Yeah,
We
we
haven't
haven't
reported
taken it
this
to
to
them.
anybody. It don't make sense. Because
It
if for
doesn't.
me, if I got the enemy, I taking you down by any means necessary. So I don't understand the functions of the opposition if you're not opposing the
Something that's
corruption.
real. Something that's real.
Then
You
that
have
have to
absolutely
that is
no
given that
evidence.
you are a part of the corruption.
Thank you.
Because if all
That's
of
what
this
I'm
is
saying.
happening and this is where people get to mix up. Jack Dio, Ali, everybody else. them don't is the couple people in the PPP don't just make up the government. The government is a collective of the
Exactly.
opposition and the ruling party and everybody else in between. You
All of
understand
them
me?
sitting in parliament and allowing bills to pass and collecting our taxpayers' dollars. You are part of the government. Whether you is the government ruling party or the opposition,
So
you're part of the government.
exactly. So we can't say the government is corrupt or just point out individuals within certain
Exactly.
parties,
Oh, exactly.
especially because election time and after the election gone, we gone back to not caring. That is not how it's supposed to work.
Nope.
And if that is the case, then we don't need any government.
Hmm.
You sight me?
Yep.
It's best the military function the country and done. Because if the government them ain't making sense, we have to bundle everybody in government and call everybody government. Because we see corruption in the opposition, right? There the case with still going to court with the corruption of the last elections fraud.
Well. Let's look at this, Martin. What exactly is happening with, take for example, the Amila Falls issue that was in Parliament, where right now the opposition is saying, "Oh God, look, there's a state of blackouts and da 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 da." Every now and then you see some of these social media. I don't know what we're ready to describe them as because they're not influencers in my estimation. But they will come and say, "Oh, this is happening, blackout, da da da," and the emphasis is the blackout. To me, it seems as though somebody got a vested interest in making or sabotaging the system so it got blackout. All right,
So
because
I
if
I would
we were
understand
to,
it.
if I ain't cutting you, but if the
But continue.
opposition was sitting in Parliament when the issue of the Amila Falls came up, where we could have had hydro electricity done in Guyana. We could have had a hydroelectric plant where Brazil would be buying current from Guyana. All of this stuff, I personally sat in Parliament and heard it. And we're talking
Mm.
from since 2020 and beyond, even in 2015. Now, the parliament, the opposition are the ones that says no, it's spending too much of money and this and all kinds of different problems, and they had problems with the feasibility and all kinds of stuff. But now we have issues with the growing grid. Instead of they tell the supporters, listen, what you got to understand is that Guyana is growing. There's a lot more manufacturing. There are a lot more houses. Everything is pulling on the grid, and people are using a lot more energy. That was not how our initial grid was constructed to handle that kind of pressure. So now that that kind of pressure is on it, we need to increase the capacity of the grid. Instead of education educating their followers, they will talk a set of stupidness because of course they know their supporters mindset is not far in terms of thinking. Because how do you tell me, oh, the government making the blackout happen? I mean, how is that logical? Is the government the one that throwing the switch at Wartzilla to say off on? Where is the
Well,
logic in some of this foolishness that's talked on social media?
no, well, this is where we have to, Malachi, call out the government. If we're gonna say that the government is making certain things happen, we
Mm-hmm.
have to remember that both sides, or how much ever registered political party they existing in Guyana, makes up the government. You
Mm-hmm.
sight me?
Yeah, yeah.
So we can't just say is we have to call names. It's important. So when you're in court to point out your person that committed the crime against you. That's why the judge asks, do you see the person who robbed your bag, who stole your bag from you in court today? And you gotta say, yes, your honor, that person right there, long hair, green eyes, brown face, whatever, whatever.
no, I cut you about it, but this is kind of the stuff that again pervades social media, and a lot of people don't do research. Now, this person is saying that Guyana is was just at the United Nations conference in Geneva, Switzerland last month on human
Mhm.
rights atrocities against African Guyanese.
Mhm. Well, I haven't seen an African Guyanese before, but
Ay, 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 ay. Mm.
this is
They,
where our problem comes, right? So
they
we
not
took
under,
money, went to Switzerland, attended whatever meeting or conference they had at the United Nations
and
office,
the,
and
the
we
government was
spoke
accused. The
on
government
what
was
exactly.
accused of atrocities.
So this is
The
what I want to
government,
know. Did
the
anybody
government of
video it?
Guyana. No, apparently CNN didn't cover CNN, NBC, none of the real networks covered the fact that Guyana was was accused
No,
of
no, no,
human
no, no.
rights atrocities.
No, I don't care about CNN and anything, Malachi. I care about the
Reuters?
individuals who attended. No, I care about the individuals who attended the meeting of
Yeah.
Guyanese descent.
Hmm.
Where is the articles? Where is the videos? I don't know if you could video in why is the conference happening, but I'm sure you would
Of
have
course that happened.
documented the interactions,
Exactly.
right? I'm sure there's somebody competent enough to come out and put out an article or come out and say on a podcast, on a radio program, or anything of this sort what exactly went down. Because y'all ain't got no gaga, though.
No.
So, where is the actual information of what was said in Switzerland,
Hmm.
right?
But wait,
Against
the
the government.
beautiful thing about it, the beautiful thing
So,
about
how
it,
could I understand as a black skinned person? Mhm.
the beautiful thing about it, the that very thing in Switzerland, you can see it online. You can see it online, and there is no accusation against the government of human rights atrocities against African Guyanese. That's not there. I never saw anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, some people saying Google, Google it, and you're gonna see
Well,
that
it's
Guyana.
important that if we're going to be criticizing something, that we should do it in total. All right.
Yes, right, no problem.
So
So
while I
go
pull
ahead.
up the Google,
Uh-huh.
I still want to know what was said before I gotta go. I don't like reading, don't waste my time, right? Before I go
Hmm.
and pull up Google and have to read any bit of article or watch any piece of video because I can't play the video on hey, right? I'll be going against policies. But before I go ahead and read or watch anything, give me a synopsis of what was said, what was presented. That is what I want to know. And then what did the people y'all spoke to or anybody spoke to? What was their response? Because I'm sure if I get in a meeting, I document in there just for me safety. It's like especially like I mentioned, if I got enemies, I take them down by any means necessary.
Hmm.
So I kind of want to know. Give me a briefing. What was said?
Okay, so I think there's a Stabrook News article. Um,
Hmm.
okay, now this is Nigel Hughes's presentation. All right, and of course he's presenting this against the government.
Hmm.
The government itself, like I mentioned, was not. Um, the UN did not say to the government of Guyana that you are being accused of atrocities against Afro Guyanese. This is something that is presented by a group of individuals to the UN, which happen to be the group of opposition members.
Mhm.
All right. So yes, you could present your case. You could present your stuff to say what you believe it is, but
So I
um,
I should be expecting development with that, because I'm sure if you're gonna waste money to go Switzerland and not enjoy the air and talk politics, then we wasting time. It's right. Pretty sure of it, because I
well,
haven't seen any real steps for the opposition, Malachi. So to go all the way
no,
to
well, we
Switzerland
know this.
and
We know this.
present a case of human rights atrocities against African
Well,
Guyanese,
yeah.
I had to quote it very specifically, right? I do believe Switzerland got beautiful air that we could have went and enjoyed, and these sort of things. If we can take we time and go there and do that, as best we did go Africa and say, here's what, let we work out a plan whereby I like what going on over there. I black, you black. Let we see we could do in me homeland together and not go
Hmm.
to the white man for help in the same system that y'all been in before. Because remember, opposition would have ruled for many years and
Yeah.
never really fought for anything. So to come out now and fight for something of no substance don't really make no sense.
It don't make no sense. It makes no sense. All the newspapers, all the black reporters, and everybody was putting out saying Negro, although they were black. And then suddenly, like this was saying, in 2024, in May, June, is when all the black people in this country realized that that word Negro was the wrong thing to use.
Mhm. Well, remember I tell you it's June month. A lot of things happen in June month. So
Like
people
June
tend to come
babies
out the
and stuff.
closet. Yeah, people tend to come out the closet in this month for everything else in between.
Hmm.
So I trust me, I will definitely as a journalist follow up on the case that was presented in Switzerland, right? If
Well,
the most I could say is my word.
I can easily follow up on it, and based on what I'm seeing,
Mhm.
there was no allegation by the court in Switzerland to the government of Guyana or the UN to the government of Guyana about any atrocities to Afro Guyanese. What that statement was built off a statement that was delivered by Nigel.
Mm.
All right, so that has nothing to do with any international body saying that the government or sanctioning the government because of atrocities to African Guyanese. All right. Now,
That is, I will
and Keen,
follow up. I will follow up.
You're absolutely right. Since in the 60s, the word Negro was being used in the newspapers everywhere to describe. A matter of fact, when I used to look at Court Roundup, I don't know if people remember Court Roundup and them things,
Mhm.
right? Where they used to say a Negro man, a Negro man of African descent was accused of, and they will say state what it was. That was going on all the time, even in the paper.
So I think if achieving the small goal, and let me acknowledge that it was a goal based on whatever merit the people pushing for it was running on. Because I personally never really classified myself as
As a
African
Negro,
Guyanese, Afro Guyanese, Indo Guyanese, anything else in between. I always
I'm
said
just a
that I
Guyanese.
am a Guyanese and I'm only a Guyanese. Once I burn them, they're
Correct.
there. Even in America,
Yep.
I've never tell anybody I want to be American, I want to be part, da da da. I am a Guyanese to the bone, and I will remain a Guyanese to the bone no matter which other country I go and visit or live in. Yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter the problem is, I know I mix up. And I know most Guyanese mix up, right? So I
Yep,
don't
yep. Well,
understand how one group does identify as solely Indian when they could then turn back and tell me, well, you identify as solely Indian. It don't really add up like that, right? Especially being African, since a lot of people pushing the black people movement and the racist thing in Guyana.
listen, this is how I got. I
We
my
haven't
solution.
had
This is my
African
solution.
Guyanese in a while.
This is my solution to the entire problem. All the
Mm.
people who are like me and they said they're from Africa, go back to Africa. All the
Them
people
people
who
know I
are
hear that by.
Indo and they're from India and they say, okay, well, I'm Indian and I'm not Guyanese, go back to India. All right. See
Mm.
how well you fall in the development system of things.
Hmm.
All right. So a lot of these things that people will come up and say, oh, we this and we that. And again, one of the things I need to reiterate on this show is that in Guyana, the people who we call Afro-Guyanese are not Africans.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. The Afro-Guyanese in Guyana are not Africans. They are descendants of Africans who are mixed with Indians, Chinese, Portuguese, and whites. And you can tell by your hair texture. If you saw or you encountered an African from the continent and a true African, their hair is not your hair texture.
Hmm.
So please stop with the stupidness and the nonsense because it really makes us look stupid and foolish about which is black and which is Indian and all of that. Because no black over here is black. You're all mixed. And we're talking about from blacks to Indians as well. We're all mixed because the slave masters and the indentured um, servants all the slave masters forced even the indentured servants into relationships to bear children to make more laborers for them to have on the on the plantation. So let's get that fully clear. And the man who okay now, don't worry, don't either. You're fully black in your heart, but you're fully black in your blood. That's a whole different. Your DNA got black, my bro. All right. So once you mix and you're a Guyanese, I don't know why people trying to separate and say, okay, well, I'm a black man. Or we're Guyanese.
How how
It's simple as that.
how could you be classified as anything but Guyanese? That's
You
what I want
can't.
to know.
You can't.
Afro Guyanese, Indo Guyanese. Would you have to come from Africa and then reside in Guyana?
That is the Afro Guyanese.
No, because I'm thinking with some type of sense, right? I want to be
Yeah.
a dunce. I never liked the back of the class, as I mentioned earlier. So I am in America, right?
Uh,
Am I not? Well, where's Ghana Guyanese American?
well,
Where
a
is
guy,
Scarlet over?
a Guyanese American. There's an Afro American, and there's an Afro
So,
Guyanese.
so, so there's the confusion. What could I consider myself? Because me from Africa, so I cannot wholesale or retail pick up somebody else's thing which I don't identify by unless I have an identification
No,
problem.
you know what? Here was the funniest thing with all these people who say this, right? Most 99.9% of the people who say they're African or Afro Guyanese have never gone to Africa. All right. Now, if they had gone to Africa, their whole mindset would have been different because at that point, when they go to Africa, you realize you are a Makwere or a Sakoa, as they say in Botswana. That means your physical appearance might be black, but because you speak English, you're a white man. All right. You're a devil in disguise. That is what Sakoa or Makwere tends to allude to as a black person coming from the West. So
Mm.
don't get, I don't know why these people in this diaspora get twisted that they are Africans. No, you are not. You mixed up with Indians, you mixed up with whites, you mixed up with other races.
Which is why I mentioned earlier, right? I just questioned myself multiple times to prove that I am not the wrong one. Because, as somebody would have mentioned, I take it that you don't understand ancestral history
Really?
versus nationality. Hold on,
Well,
right?
I
No,
think
hold on, Malika,
Odessa.
hold on.
Uh,
I understand my ancestral history so much, I could tell you where my dark pigmented grandfather came from and my white pigmented or the Portuguese came from, right? There is in Europe, there is a small knit village that is named after Barrows, right? It is spelled Barrow, right? My lineage, my white side of the family, which was actual slave masters, came from that nice, pretty community that still exists today in Europe. So I could tell you exactly where my ancestors came from. Notice I said they're white, right? Because they came all the way from Europe. They was the captains, three brothers came on a ship, right? They were sent by their fathers. One stopped off in Bahamas, one stopped off in Barbados, the other one went on to Guyana. You see it, man? The one in Barbados stayed there, fell in love with a slave woman, right? Which is my great grandmother somewhere down the line there, which kept our name Barrow. So I understand my ancestral very well, but I wasn't born in Barbados, Bahamas, Europe, nor Africa. I was born in Guyana years later. So how do I identify with my mother who mixed with Buck, Coolie, Black, and European? What do I identify as? This is why I always take other on the paper.
bro, listen. I mean, travel really opens the mind, and also reading opens the mind. You know, I would advise people to do a lot of that. Do some reading. If you're trying to really understand um, and have a clear perspective of, you know, how you fit into this scenario as a Guyanese, read some books from my uncle, Dr. Walter Rodney. Very important. Edify yourself about your ancestry, your ancestors, your nationality, and all that nonsense.
Mhm.
Edify yourself. Because if you don't edify yourself, you find that we go into these little enclaves by ourselves. And we allow people with that mentality to run those enclaves. All
Yes,
right?
sir.
It's tantamount to what you know, Mad Max? You
Mm.
know the movie Mad Max, right? The latest one. It's tantamount to Mad Max, where we all click up and we decide, well, here what happened. There's the water over there, right? So we running things over here, the water. All right. So we need a different approach. We need to have a clearer, a bigger mind and an understanding.
Of
Right?
course.
Of course, I noticed Keen put in Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, of course, one of Guyana's and the world's greatest historians, came from Guyana. His two great historians come from Guyana, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and Dr. Walter Rodney. All right. But you know how it is, Martin. When we have these
Mhm.
discussions, the time really flies. We got left something for next week. And for those people who constantly keep commenting because maybe they think next week here we can do. We had the phone lines open this evening, but people didn't call in. Next week, we're gonna have the phone lines again open. So people like Odessa could call in and actually talk to us one on one and
Yes.
not just
We'll
text
have
us
a better
information.
discussion.
Right, and we can have a better discussion. But before we leave, let me give you the disclaimer: the views and Discussions and conversations held on this program do not reflect those of Majestic Music Radio, its staff, management, advertisers, or personalities on that radio, and are strictly those of course, yours truly, Martin Al Amin Sherwin, who had to pop out to head to work. I said we're working guys. That disclaimer covers that. So it's not associated with the radio station. This is our separate program. Make sure you check us out every Tuesday. You know, bringing you real information, real discussions. All right?
Mhm.
When we have a conversation, we look at it from the realness, real evidence of it,
Yes.
not hearsay or talks. All right?
So, like
So-
I mentioned, I will check in with the Geneva Convention aspect of things because I can't speak on it directly because I haven't done
Mhm.
my research, but I will do. And we can, well, yeah, follow the page, follow the conversation. We have our own social media page, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So we could
Mhm.
always keep the conversation going, of course,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Follow Majestic Music Radio, follow Gem Networks, follow Gem
Yep.
Radio, and we should be logging on to a couple other platforms in the near future. So make sure y'all
Yep.
follow everybody and let me continue because I like to learn. Excitement. I don't know everything. So if there's something that I said and anybody could correct me, by all means, but like
Yeah,
I say, as triple
send
check.
it. Yeah, send the evidence. Let's see that evidence, right? Let's see the evidence. Martin, you don't know, bro. Respect. Sherwin,
Yes,
wherever
brother.
if you know you had to head out, bro, be safe out there on the road. Until next Tuesday, people. Bless up, respect.
Stars among stars. We. Lights, camera, someone.
Carnival is a movie we filming in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie we filming in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie we filming with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international.
Stars among stars. We. Lights, camera, someone.